Yeah. Well, look, we've got plenty of build-up to this one to come. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff here at Villa Park. The respective keepers, well, certainly the substitute keepers, are out warming up. And you may have heard the boos when the Forest keepers came out and the applause for the Villa keepers. So expect a bit of an atmosphere, a bit of a fieriness maybe to tonight as well. That was all thanks to Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
The big preview on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Now, if you fancy a bit of multitasking, Villa legend Gabby Agbonlahor is doing a special watch-along of tonight's game on the TalkSport YouTube channel. Gabby will be watching the game next to TalkSport presenter and Forest fan Max Scott. So if you want to see live reaction, tune in to TalkSport Goals on the TalkSport YouTube channel and on your smart TVs right now. You will follow all the pain and glory with either of them. Coming next, we'll look ahead to the other vital semi-final tonight involving a Premier League club. Crystal Palace holding a 3-1 lead over Shakhtar Donetsk from the first leg of the Conference League semi. Team news from that one is coming up. You're listening to Europa League Live
on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
In a world of noise and uncertainty, IG is the investment platform that backs you. Take our flexible stocks ISA, which gives you the freedom to withdraw funds anytime and replace them in the same tax year, all without losing your £20,000 tax-free allowance. And if that's not enough, pay no commission on your stocks, shares and ETFs when you invest with IG. IG. Trade, invest, progress. Your capital's at risk. Other fees may apply. Tax treatment depends on individual circumstances and is subject to change.
Switching to Vodafone full fibre broadband is now as easy as pie. Ooh, freshly baked. It's a walk in the park. Hello, little fella. It's like taking candy from a baby. Come on, as if I'd do that. With One Touch Switch, it's easy. We sort everything out for you. We even contact your current provider. Plus, we'll help towards leaving fees. Switch today to full fibre broadband with Vodafone.
Up to £200 credit to cover leaving fees. More information and terms at vodafone.co.uk/broadband.
We have launched Operation Epic Fury.
Stop being a proper country.
When everyone says they're right.
Who do you believe?
None of us knew the depth of that relationship.
If the lines are blurred.
He knew. Can you read between them?
The depth of the relationship.
When the story breaks.
Who brings perspective?
The mistake I made.
If you want to understand the issues that define our times, it starts with listening.
Times Radio. On your smart speaker, on digital radio, or the Times Radio app.
Smart TV. Didn't work. QR code login. Didn't work. Re-enter login. Didn't work. Voice activated remote. Didn't work.
We can fix that, but our casino app is actually pretty good.
Wager £20, get 100 free spins with Midnight on eligible games. Search Midnight Casino or download the Midnight app today. New customers only. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Play responsibly. Gambleaware.org.
This Saturday, it's heavyweight boxing at its best. Wardley, Dubois, two knockout machines. When they collide in Manchester, someone is going down. And all this week, TalkSport will bring you all the essential build-up as Wardley fights to keep his crown. Don't miss TalkSport's big fight build-up with DAZN. Watch Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois. Don't blink. This Saturday, only on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Europa League Live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Coming soon, the 2026 FIFA World Cup live on TalkSport and TalkSport 2.
That's it!
We bring you every kick, every goal, every game.
He scores!
The 2026 FIFA World Cup starts this June on TalkSport and TalkSport 2.
You're listening to the Europa League Live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. We're building up to the kickoff between Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa. We're here in the Midlands at Villa Park for this Europa League semi-final second leg. Remember, Forest 1-up from that first leg at the City Ground last week. A Chris Wood penalty, the difference between these two sides. It's time for us to bring you an odds update then ahead of this one with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And it's a very good evening to Alex Apati. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. That's a ex-West Brom legend Chris Wood penalty, by the way.
Any excuse to bring up the Baggies. Come on now, we've got to move on from them. We've got to talk about tonight's game, Aston Villa against Nottingham Forest. How are you all seeing it at Ladbrokes?
Yeah, Forest the favourites to qualify still. They obviously have that 1-0 lead, as you say, and they're 8-11 to qualify. Villa are evens in that market, but are slight favourites, favourites to win tonight. They're just shy of evens to win. I don't really understand why you would back Villa to qualify right now. The last three, lost against Fulham, lost against Forest, of course, and were so poor against Tottenham at the weekend. Compare that to Forest, won their last 5 in all competitions, unbeaten in 10, and they don't need to win tonight. They're 6 points clear in the Premier League, so basically safe now and can finish the season on a high in Europe. Both teams to score here is 4-5, which I don't mind. Villa haven't been in great form in front of goal, but they do need to show something tonight at home. I might just back the score draw tonight at 4-1, but the best bet for me outright, before the finalists are confirmed, might be Nottingham Forest to win the Europa League. That's around 2-1 right now.
OK, so that is with regards to Europa League. Obviously, Crystal Palace take a big lead into their home leg against Shakhtar Donetsk in the Conference League. So Palace favourites to go through?
Yeah, did a great job last week, winning away, comfortable lead, huge odds-on favourites to make the final, and they're 3-5 to win just tonight. Shakhtar are 4-1 to win tonight. A bit more value might be in a repeat of last week, Palace to win and both teams to score. That's 5-2. Again, they don't need a win here, but they definitely don't want to be limping into the final. They have kind of checked out of the Premier League right now. 1 point from the last 3 games, lost 3-0 to Bournemouth last weekend. So all eyes on the Conference League, and they are odds-on favourites to win the whole thing now. They're 4-7. I'm sure they will have an eye on the other game as well. They did lose to Strasbourg earlier this season, so Vallecano maybe the slightly easier tie of the two, where they can make the final. At Selhurst Park though tonight, Palace to win both halves. We go with 6 or more shots on target. A bit of a show for the home fans. That bet builder is 9-2.
And a quick reflection on the Premier League with regards to the title race, of course. The next fixtures for both Man City and Arsenal. They're both taking on London clubs. It's Brentford who are the visitors to the Etihad on Saturday, and then Arsenal go to West Ham.
Yeah, City and Arsenal both odds on to win this weekend, but City are more likely of the two, of course, because they're at home and Arsenal aren't. Although the London Stadium hasn't been too bad a ground for Arsenal of late. I think they won 5-0 and 6-2 in their last 2 visits. I'm sure they would snap your hand off just for a 1-0. Arsenal to win and keep a clean sheet on Sunday, as they have done in 2 of the last 3 games in all competitions. That's 9-5. The City-Arsenal double this weekend is 9-4. City should win. They don't really tend to lose at home to Brentford, sorry Natalie, but Brentford have an outside chance of sneaking into the top 6. They do score goals, and they love a draw of late. Point would be great for them, not so much for City. City have just got to win and hope for the best. I would say, though, this weekend, anyone and everyone check on your Spurs mates, regardless of the outcome in that game. I suppose a draw might be the best result for Tottenham at the London Stadium, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want to be a Tottenham fan this weekend, put it that way.
Fair enough. Alex, as always, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much. That was a look at the latest odds with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
So as we were hearing there, Crystal Palace firm favourites to reach their first ever European final tonight. They host Ukrainian side Shakhtar Donetsk, leading 3-1 from the first leg after an impressive display away from home last week. You can hear how they get on tonight over on Talk Sport 2. But for now, let's bring the team news ahead of this one with Talk Sport's chief football correspondent. Good evening, Alex Crook.
Good evening, Natalie. This is arguably the biggest night that Selhurst Park has seen in its 102-year history. The road to Leipzig looming large for Crystal Palace, and the team news could not be more straightforward because both sides have named the exact same 11s that took to the field in Krakow a week ago. For Palace, Henderson, the goalkeeper, Richards, Lacroix, and Convo the back 3, Munoz and Mitchell the wing backs, with Wharton and Kamada in midfield, Sarr and Pino either side of Jean-Philippe Mateta in attack. For Shakhtar, Riznik is the goalkeeper, Tobias, Bondar, Matvienko and Pedro Henrique, the back four. The goal scorer from last week for them, Ocheretko, will hold in midfield with Alisson, Pedrino, Marlon and Eguinaldo behind Kawa Elias up front. Palace 3-1 up from the first leg. Surely just a case of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, though Darren Ambrose alongside me thinks it might not be quite that straightforward. Either way, it's live on TalkSport 2 as Palace take on Shakhtar.
Well, Crookie, you mentioned Darren Ambrose. Let's just quickly bring him in for a chat then. Why are you not expecting a sort of easier night?
Well, I mean, first of all, evening. It's one of those. They were really good in the first leg, Shakhtar. I think their game plan would have gone out the window after the first minute with an outstanding goal from Ismail Assar. But then they got back into their stride and they dominated the first half, albeit not too much in terms of goal mouth threat, but they dominated in terms of possession. They had their moments. Then Ocheretko obviously equalised. But then Palace turned it on a little bit. Kamado on the night I thought was outstanding. I don't think this is going to be a foregone conclusion. If Shakhtar... Look, they have to come at Crystal Palace. That could be a good thing for Palace. That will open up gaps for the likes of Adam Wharton finding Kamada's runs and Ismail Assar, Mateta up top. So they have to come at them. But if they can get a quick start like Crystal Palace did in the first leg, it's going to be interesting viewing. I still think Crystal Palace will get the result. I still think they'll win on the night. But I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as most people do think. Hopefully I'm wrong.
I mean, you're absolutely right about looking at the stats from last week's leg. They had 16 shots, Shakhtar Donetsk. But really, their only effort was the Palace goal on target, that is. And what we're going to expect from them is they're going to have to come out, aren't they? And isn't that going to play into Palace's hands a little bit, that Shakhtar might commit bodies forward, which will open the door for them?
Look, that's what you're hoping. That's what you're hoping as a Crystal Palace supporter. That's what I'm hoping happens, because they have the players, Crystal Palace, that if Shakhtar do decide to, they have to come out. If they don't, they're going to lose. Palace don't have to win. We just heard that. They don't have to win, so they have to come and try and create. That could create gaps, which is what everyone hopes. Adam Wharton to find his spaces. I think this could be a big night for Adam Wharton. But if they do manage, I think they'll score, Shakhtar. I really do. I think Coops came here a few months back. You and I have covered this a lot now, and Coops got the goal. I thought they would that night. They do concede chances, Crystal Palace, and I just felt that they wasn't clinical enough in the first game, Shakhtar. If that changes, it could make interesting viewing. Of course, I don't want that to happen. I want Crystal Palace to dominate the night, but who knows? You never know in football. You never know what could happen. It's just such a big night for Crystal Palace. I'm actually really jealous that it's not 16 years ago when I was playing.
I can imagine. I think there's a lot of players probably thinking the same, who once donned the colours of Crystal Palace. I mean, one thing's for sure about Palace, Darren, very quickly, is they've really grown in Europe. They've had, obviously, moments where we've questioned maybe Oliver Glasner's line-up, for example. You mentioned the Coops tie, for example. But they've really got more and more comfortable in this competition as they've gone deeper and deeper into it.
Yeah, they certainly have. Look, they've been inconsistent at the start of the campaign. Obviously, Larnaca here, Coops here. They nearly come unstuck, of course, against Coops, making all those changes. They ended up going through in the playoff. But I think, again, you and I have covered a lot over the last few months, and we always said the better the sides that play Crystal Palace, the better chance Crystal Palace have got, because they won't just sit back and soak up the pressure and then try and counter-attack. They actually will bring it to Crystal Palace, and I think Shakhtar Donetsk will do that tonight. They'll come out fast, they'll try and get an early goal, and as you just said, it could open up opportunities, and it should open up gaps for the good players, for the players that can really make things happen for Crystal Palace, and I'm sure that's the game plan. I'm sure that's what Oliver Glasner has been telling his team.
Darren, listen, enjoy it. It's getting very heated here, it must be said. You can listen in to Crystal Palace then against Shakhtar over on TalkSport 2 from 8, but we will have updates on the game here on TalkSport with Ian Abrahams. The Aston Villa team have just made their way out. That is why you may have heard a roar as they did so. They just took their time coming out. Forest have been out for a little while already, it has to be said, warming up. Interesting to note, no Morgan Gibbs-White out there currently warming up for Nottingham Forest. All understandable after the injury, of course, that he suffered against Chelsea. I have a feeling feeling this game, especially with the crowd, might be a bit like a pantomime. There'll be a bit of boos and jeers, but there'll also be joy when it's the Villa team. That's how hostile the Villa fans are going to try and create it here at Villa Park. Up next, we're going to see how the fans are feeling ahead of tonight's game. We will continue our build-up to the second leg of Aston Villa versus Nottingham Forest. You're tuning in to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. GambleAware.org.
Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18 plus GambleAware.org.
Hey, have you got a moment? Shepherd's Friendly offers a range of insurance and investment plans to prepare its members for every moment that matters. Like that new set of wheels moment, that getting the keys to your first home moment, or even that trip of a lifetime moment. And it only takes a moment to open a new plan. So, have you got a moment? Visit shepherdsfriendly.co.uk. When you invest, your capital is at risk.
Smart TV. Didn't work. QR code login. Didn't work. Re-enter login. Didn't work. Voice activated remote. Didn't work.
We can fix that, but our casino app is actually pretty good.
Wager £20, get 100 free spins with Midnight on eligible games. Search Midnight Casino or download the Midnight app today. New customers only. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Play responsibly. GambleAware.org.
Are you ready for the McCrispy to become your new go-to? With juicy 100% chicken breast, one bite and your usual becomes your used to. Betray your go-to for McCrispy. McCrispy. Now at McDonald's. Served from 11 a.m. Subject to availability.
At Ben & Jerry's, we had a thought. Our cookie dough ice cream is already loaded with chunks.
It's a classic for a reason.
But we wondered, could we make it even more cookier?
Go on.
The best way to top it was to bottom it.
Let's just clarify that's with cookies.
Introducing the new Ben & Jerry's cookie dough ice cream sandwich. Our legendary ice cream packed with cookie dough chunks between soft vanilla and cocoa marbled cookies. No spoon needed.
More ways to enjoy cookie dough. Count me in.
The new Ben & Jerry's cookie dough ice cream sandwich.
Play all your favourite slots at your nearest Admiral Slots venue with prizes of up to £500 on great games like Tie Flower, Burn 'em Up, Sizzling Hot and brand new Piggy Prizes Wish of Riches. It's playtime at Admiral Slots. Now with over 290 venues nationwide, there's one near you. If you're ready to play, spin safe at Admiral Slots, where our friendly team are on hand to help you play responsibly and stay within your limits. Find your local venue at admiralslots.co.uk. Over 18s only. Please gamble responsibly.
Hawksby and Jacobs on your side every weekday afternoon from 1 on TalkSport with Toolstation, delivering cutting-edge comment, a catalogue of riveting guests, and drilled-down dialogue to power up your lunchtime. Plus, breaking news, views, and loads of laughs. Don't miss the nation's favourite sporting lunch with the legendary Hawksby and Jacobs every weekday afternoon from 1 on TalkSport with Toolstation. Next stop, Toolstation.
Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
TalkSport Sports Headlines with Bostik. For workable, easy-to-apply mortar that tools easily, pros trust Bostik.
Good evening, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. Away from tonight's huge all-English, all-Midlands Europa League semi-final between Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest, Brighton manager Fabian Hertz has extended his stay at the club by signing a new 3-year deal. The German became the youngest permanent head coach in Premier League history when he arrived on the South Coast at the age of 31 2 years ago. Roberto De Zerbi says James Maddison could maybe help them in the final matches of the season. The midfielder's been out since injuring his knee in pre-season. Maddison's been back on the bench in recent weeks, but De Zerbi says they've got to be careful. And Donald Trump has admitted he wouldn't pay the price of a ticket for the USA's opening World Cup match. The asking price is currently set as £734 for the game against Paraguay in California.
Only one radio heavyweight brings you unbeatable, canvas-thumping coverage of the biggest bouts in world boxing. Talk Sport. Go the distance with unparalleled ringside commentary of the biggest boxing showdowns.
Unbelievable stuff at the Manchester Arena!
With 2 tough-talking boxing shows, Fight Night and Fight Night Extra.
The fight starts now!
Plus, get total knockout content on our world-class boxing podcast and dedicated YouTube channel.
Swaggering, full of confidence.
Available now, and it's all for free. TalkSport and TalkSport 2, your home of boxing.
You're listening to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. And we are at Villa Park. It is rocking as Aston Villa look to overturn that 1-0 deficit after that first leg defeat at Nottingham Forest to reach the Europa League final. We have mentioned, of course, that the Aston Villa owners were pitchside earlier. Well, Evangelos Marinakis too was pitchside as well. And I mentioned Morgan Gibbs-White, who's on the bench, starting tonight on the bench. He is out there right now. He hadn't come out earlier on with the substitutes, but he is now out there. And as you might well expect, he has a mask heavily protecting his face after that facial injury, of course, that he picked up against Chelsea. We have, around 20 minutes to go until kick-off. So let's bring you a reminder of the team news with your commentator for this one is Jim Prouser.
Well, there's one change for Villa, 2 for Forest to the sides that contested the first leg last week. Lindelof replaces the injured Onana for Villa. McAtee's in for Gibbs-White on the Forest left. And with Olorina unavailable and Zach Abbott concussed, centre-half Jaya Cunha plays at right back. He has never started a senior game there in his career. Villa lineup: Martinez in goal, Cash, Konsa, Pau Torres and Digne, Lindelof and Tielemans, McGinn, Rogers, Buendia and Watkins. Ortega between the sticks for Forest, Cunha, Milenkovic, Morato and Williams, Dominguez and Anderson, Hutchinson and McAtee wide, and Eagle Jesus of Chris Wood, the first leg match winner up front. Gibbs-White, all masked up, makes the bench for Forest, and kick-off just a shade under 20 minutes away.
Jim, thank you very much. And we'll chat more to our commentary team then as we get closer to kick-off. But as we know, these two clubs have trophy-winning pedigree. But it's a while since either tasted silverware. Aston Villa have to go back to 1996 for their last major honour, something that Andy Townsend knows very well. That was the League Cup when they won it that year. Forest have to go back even further to 1990 for the same competition. So what would it mean for these clubs to reach the final on the continent? We asked a familiar fan from both sides to give us their thoughts.
It's time!
Dan Bardell here, broadcaster working for TalkSport, also a massive Aston Villa fan and season ticket holder.
Hello, I'm Max Scott, TalkSport presenter, reporter, but more importantly, a lifelong Forest fan and season ticket holder.
First round. How much does tonight's semi-final matter to the Villa fans? Look, it is absolutely huge. 30 long years without a trophy. Villa won a couple of League Cups when I was a kid, and I just thought this is the kind of thing that happens every few years. This is going to be great.
The Coca-Cola Cup final has been won by Aston Villa.
European journey, this European semi-final means so much to me because I finally get to create and have my own experiences of Forest doing something special in Europe, and that's what this football club's about.
And still Robertson getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
We're an against the odds side that succeeds when nobody expects it, and the words of Brian Clough ring true across the whole city. I hope anybody's not stupid enough to write us off.
Round 2. Forest, the first leg advantage.
Forest have obviously had a really, really difficult season. I might be wrong here, but for them, I feel like this is just a bonus for them right now. Maybe they weren't as expectant as the Villa fans were at the start of the season. So I feel like there is less pressure on Forest than there is on Villa. And look, they're 1-0 up as well, that they've put themselves in a relatively healthy position.
For a club that's been outside the Premier League for 23 years, a club that's been in League One, a club that's created largely memories of heartbreak for its fans over the last 30 years. That's why this means more to Forest than Villa, because we've been in the fire. 3 of our 4 seasons in the Premier League have been relegation dogfights, but here we are 90 minutes away from a final. You can't tell me that any other club in this tournament has been to the depths that Forest have over a generation and more.
This will be a huge justification of the Unai Emery era, which has been the best era I've known in my nearly 35, 36 years as an Aston Villa fan.
If we were to make a European final, if I could go to Istanbul with my dad, words can't articulate how unbelievable that would be. Life-affirming moment, and I feel like this is a sliding doors moment for the football club.
So there you go, a fan from either side, familiar of course to Talk Sport. Let's get the thoughts then of perhaps who this is bigger for tonight from our team here at Villa Park. It's the former Villa captain Andy Townsend, former Forest midfielder Jack Colback, and Jim Proudfoot as well, who is alongside us as well. I mean, it's easy to argue a case for both, I'm sure, but let me come to you, Andy. You know, you've got to go back to 82 for the last time they won in Europe, and then, as we said, 1996 for the last time that a club like Aston Villa, which everyone always talks about, is Aston Villa. They're a big club. It feels so long ago that they've won something.
It does. I think tonight is bigger for Villa. I do, because they're further down the road with their coach and this squad. And I think everyone can sense that they're very close to winning something. But if you don't get over the line and make it happen and make it work, then things can change in football very quickly. They just do. There's been talk recently about the manager, who's been exceptional ever since he's been here. There's Morgan Rogers, there's other players that are going to be fancied by other teams, etc. Things can move on very quickly. So when you have that moment, you've got to make it pay, which is why I think that Villa, obviously being one down, there's more pressure on them, but I also think as a club that there's a bigger expectation on right now to get over the line and achieve something. I really do, and I think so. For that, I think tonight is absolutely massive. The ramifications of not coming out on top tonight for Villa could be, I hope they're not, but they could be significant.
And in many ways, this, Andy, kind of feels like the last opportunity for this Villa side. 10 of the 11 in the starting lineup played more than 100 games for the club. They've been together a long time. Victor Lindbergh's the only exception. And you just wonder whether, if it doesn't happen now, with PSR and everything, they might have to break the side up to an extent. Yeah. So this just puts more pressure on it, the actual circumstances.
I agree. I think, Jim, that's it in a nutshell. So the team are ready to win. They've got the right coach who knows his way about this competition better than anyone. They've got a lot of good players. They've got depth in the squad. We know what sort of atmosphere is going to be in here tonight. We know what sort of expectation on the terraces. So everything is in place. And now the team have to get over the line. But they're going to have to do it the hard way tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah. Jack, you've got to give the right reply. Forest defence.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that the expectation is higher for Villa, certainly. I think they are a bit further ahead in terms of competing at this level than Forest are. Obviously, Forest finished well in the season, in the league last season, but we've seen this season being a bit of a struggle. But I think in terms of winning the trophy, it's equally as big for both sides. I think, like I said, for Forest, there's that history of them winning the European Cups. And to be in the Championship not so long ago, to now be competing in a European semi-final is huge. And I think, obviously, if they go on to win here tonight and win the competition, then it's Champions League football as well, which is massive for the club.
I have to say the atmosphere is electric here. We've been to Villa a few times covering the Europa League. I've not heard an atmosphere like this. Understandable, of course. There is a lot on the line. One of which, I suppose, Andy Townsend, is also the reputation of Unai Emery. Bear in mind he's so successful in the Europa League.
Yeah, that's very true. I think slightly unfairly, that there's almost an expectation around Unai to come out on top in all these European matches. They did very well. They had a great account of themselves in the Champions League. They rattled Bayern Munich here, PSG here, and showed that they can dine at the very top table. But this is a different one tonight. They're behind. They're up against a team that this Villa crowd expect them to beat. And so everyone here this evening coming in here with claret and blue on their back think they're going to get it done. That makes it a little bit tougher for the players because they're up against a very competitive Forest team and a team that has found its mojo big time recently. So it is not going to be easy. Villa Park is never for the faint-hearted. When they're with you and they're behind you, you feel like you've got another 5 men playing with you. And when it's going the other way, it's very, very difficult. It is not an easy ground to play in when things aren't going well. And they need to start tonight, Nat, very strong. They've got to come flying out the blocks, I feel.
I mean, the crowd have found their voice now. We've been lucky to be here over a few great European nights over the last 2 or 3 years. The flags, the claret and blue flags that have been put on the vast majority of chairs here at the ground, spelling out Villa away to our right-hand side, and the lower Holt there being waved with gusto. But up until about 5 minutes ago, there was a real palpable tension and nervousness here that there hasn't been for a lot of the big occasions. The Bayern Munich game, for instance, the Juventus game. There was a real expectation for those. Slightly different tonight. There is a nervousness about the Villa tonight.
But you can hear it. You can hear what the fans are doing now. They're doing their part. They're hoping that the Villa team can do the same. That is for sure. But right now, Villa Park is a sea of claret and blue. We will continue the build-up then to Forest against Villa. Don't forget, tomorrow it is Fiery Friday on the TalkSport Daily Podcast. Adrian Durham, Anthony and Kelly, Alex Crook bring you one hot take each to sizzle you into the weekend. That's available for you first thing tomorrow from your favourite podcast provider. You're tuning into the Europa League Live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18plusgambleaware.org.
Saturday, May 9th. Don't blink. Two Ultimate Knockout Kings are set to collide. Wardley versus Dubois. Live exclusively on DAZN. And with DAZN Ultimate, one knockout subscription gets you over 12 DAZN pay-per-view fights and 185 plus fights a year.
This is incredible stuff!
So, join us ringside and make every blockbuster event unmissable all year round. Buy Wardley versus Dubois at DAZN.com or join DAZN Ultimate and get the fight included at no extra cost.
With a Travis Perkins trade account, you open the door to big trade deals every single month. And we've gone big on landscaping right through May. Get Marshall's Pendle Utility Paving in different colours and sizes from only £4.50 per slab. Join the club and get this and other big landscaping trade deals this May with your trade account. Travis Perkins, doing what matters for the trade. All prices exclude VAT at 20%. Terms and conditions apply.
Struggling to read your phone or holding menus at arm's length? You're not alone. Take care of your vision with Verilux Varifocal lenses. Get instant sharpness at any distance and smooth transitions from near to far. No more switching glasses or straining your eyes. Visit essilor.com to find out more about Verilux lenses and your exclusive offers.
On day 3 of leftovers for lunch, have a day off. Switch it up with a double cheeseburger for $2.49 on the McDonald's Saver menu.
Leftovers left the chat.
Talk about Saver satisfaction. Served from 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary. Fees apply to delivery orders, subject to availability.
Whatever kind of football fan you are, Talk Sport and the Coral Daily Download are here for it to celebrate the fans every day. Whether you're a front row seater or a prawn sandwich eater, a half-and-half scarf wearer or a lifelong faithful torchbearer, a retro shirt for every game or bare-chested, even in the rain. For all the latest news, reaction and odds this season, don't miss the Coral Daily Download. Every morning from 6 on Talk Sport with Coral. We're here for the fans. 18plusgambleaware.org. Europa League Live on Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
The football animal is alive. Kickoff live on Talk Sport.
You're listening to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes, 18overgambleaware.org. It is really loud. I don't think any of us can hear a thing. Kickoff between Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest coming up for you very shortly. Remember, Forest lead 1-0 from the first leg. It really is simply a matter of winner takes all tonight, potentially, to reach that Europa League final. And they will take on the winner of Sporting Braga against Freiburg, with the Portuguese side 2-1 up, heading to Germany. We may have extra time. We may have penalties. We'll see. Let's continue our build-up to this one. And Jacob Colback, former Forest midfielders, alongside Andy Townsend, the former Villa captain. We talked about the expertise of Unai Emery. What about the job that Vitor Pereira has done?
Yeah, incredible, really. I think he was lucky in the sense he came into a team that was pretty well organised already, with Dyche being the previous manager, of course, but he's then been able to spend time taking them to the next level, which was being more of a threat in the final third and adding creativity and a cutting edge, which recently they've been scoring goals for fun, you know, and I think coming here, the atmosphere is incredible, really, and it's a daunting place to come, but they will be coming with so much confidence, and I think that's what the manager has brought, certainly, and I can't wait for the game to start, you know, it's incredible.
I mean, I can tell both of you itching to get out there. You'd love to be playing in an atmosphere like this, that is for sure. Andy, we've talked about the fact that Victor Lindelof might well be playing in that sitting role that we expect, something he's not done that often. Jaya Cunha playing at right back, never done it, as Jim was telling us earlier on.
Yeah, so look, not ideal. I think on any given occasion, Jack will probably say the same. Whenever, and I was asked to play every now and again as a centre-half or something like that, very occasionally. I think for the odd game you can do it now. Eventually you get found out when you're playing out of position for too long. It's not easy to do, Jack, is it?
No, it's not, Andy, but I think what might help him tonight is if Villa set up how they look like they might in a five at the back. He probably won't be directly up against a tricky winger or an opponent, so I think that will help his cause. But yeah, to do it in a game on an occasion like this, you know, it's a tough ask, but you know, it's time to become heroes almost and be a legend, so good luck to him.
Fireworks are going off right now. This is before anything has kicked off, and a huge tifo being unveiled at the Holte End, a huge lion with the team, the current team, with Unai Emery at the bottom as well. Around this lion, you can feel and sense what a huge occasion this is set to be here at Villa Park. I mean, honestly, I cannot tell you how exciting it is to be here. They really have ramped it up. Forest, of course, have travelled in their numbers too. They'll do what they can. The pocket opposite us in the Dargenis stand to try and spur on their team to victory. But both looking to achieve history, really, with this current team and this current generation and reach the final. So this is it then. It is Nottingham Forest taking on Aston Villa in the Europa League semi-final second leg. Before we're off air tonight, we'll have a Midlands representative in the final later this month. But will it be the west or the east of the Midlands? The teams are making their way out. Let's find out what's going to happen then with your match commentators for this one. The former Aston Villa captain, Andy Townsend, ex-Forest midfielder, Jack Colback, and your match commentator is Jim Crample.
Thank you, Natalie, and a very good evening to you for a night of nights unparalleled in the history of Midland derbies. Two clubs with a wonderful European heritage. For one, the chance to supplement a great past with a glorious present in Istanbul in a fortnight's time. Ask any Villa fan of a certain age of their happiest memories, and they'll point to the European glory in 1982. A season that brought a troubled defence of the league title, a managerial change barely 3 weeks before the continental quarter-final, but unblemished progress towards their finest moment. The biggest European game that Villa Park has ever seen, settled by a Tony Morley strike off the inside of the post against an Anderlecht side whose back six had time wasting down to a fine art. It's the only goal over 2 legs, and the rest was Rotterdam. Now, with no disrespect to the Conference League, they've had to wait 44 years for another major European semi-final here. But now, that wait is over. And the Villa success had come on the back of the English trailblazers in the European Cup. Liverpool and Nottingham Forest, each twice victorious in the previous 4 years. Forest's remarkable rise from a provincial second division team to continental champions, among the more extraordinary stories in English footballing folklore. And within the travelling contingent tonight, there will be a generation of Forest fans who witnessed that stunning success, but many, many more who've merely been raised on the sepia-tinted stories, hoping beyond hope that this is their time to experience firsthand. They were cheated out of their last European semi-final. 42 years on, does the final beckon? Well, this is how the two teams line up. Martinez in goal for Aston Villa. Cash, Konsa, Pau Torres and Digne. Lindelof and Tielemans, with Victor Lindelof set to start in midfield. for the first time in more than 10 years. McGinn, Rogers, Buendia and Ollie Watkins. Ortega in goal for Nottingham Forest. Jair Cunha at right back, who's only played 20 minutes of football for Forest there, has never started a game for Forest at right back. Milenkovic, Morato and Williams across the back four. Dominguez and Anderson, Hutchinson and McAtee, and Igor Jesus playing off Chris Wood up front. In terms of the subs tonight on the benches for Villa, it's Bizot and Wright, Mings, Elliott, Andres Garcia and Abraham, Sancho, Douglas Luiz, who started the season on loan at Forest, Madsen, Bagada and Bailey. The Forest subkeepers are Sells and Willows. They're joined by Murillo, Sangari, Gibbs, Whiten and Doy, Luca, Yates, Bakwa, Whitehall, Sinclair and Hanks. Andy, I must have been here more than 100 times. You'll have been here more than 300 or 400. I've never seen this place like it.
You know, the Champions League matches against Bayern and PSG, which I spoke about earlier, they were amazing. Tonight, the noise levels there, just as the teams were coming out and just before, when we had the fireworks going off, absolutely pulsating. It's a proper old stadium, this one, with a fantastic history, heritage, and it's just got a habit on big occasions of making a lot of noise. And you've got to be able to handle that, not only the Forest boys, the Villa players too. So tonight, it's about handling all of what's going on around you, as well as concentrating on that game, what's going on the pitch.
And Jack, as a visiting player coming here, how difficult is it to be able to cope with an atmosphere like this?
Yeah, it's difficult. Like I said earlier, it's one of them where you need to come here, and the game plan, I think, for Forest will be to quieten the fans down. It'll be to slow the game down and manage the game well. I think that you can see now the players going over to the fans. Just that little bit of mind games early on, you know, and the boos are coming, and that's the job of Forest tonight, because it is a difficult place to come. But like Andy says, if they can turn the fans against the Villa players, then it's a tough place for them as well.
But the first moral victory for Nottingham Forest was winning the toss and turning Villa round. Villa kicking from left to right towards the Holt end in this first half. And the Forest players, despite the fact that they're defending away to our right in that first 45 minutes, made their way over, as Jack said, in front of the Nottingham Forest fans in the northern end of the Doug Ellis stand, in the wrong half of the pitch, effectively, to do their huddle. And it hasn't gone down well here. Well, on that Doug Ellis stand facing us, the commentary to Villa's most famous goal is immortalised. Words that are iconic in this part, emblazoned in blue on a claret background. Oh, it must be, and it is, Peter Withe. It's high time for both Villa and Forest, two of Withe's old clubs, to write more words of history now. We're underway. Ball played forward down the Villa right. McGinn hooking it in. Straight out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Ortega away to our right-hand side. And, of course, Nottingham Forest already with that first leg lead in a position that they can indulge in a little bit of match management to just make sure that they're circumspect and careful about every restart. Ortega sweeping this one short down towards Nico Williams, who's had a tremendous season for Nottingham Forest. Morato playing it forward. The commanding header from Victor Lindelof, getting it forward through the midfield for Ollie Watkins. Tries to play it back towards McGinn. He didn't put enough on it. And then has just tried to play the ball whilst Williams on the touchline was on his knees protecting it. McGinn caught him. And the free kick has been given Forest's way on this near touchline. A minute in, 1-0 to Forest on aggregate, 0-0 here on the night.
Yeah, what it does do for Villa going towards the Holt end, Jim, first half, is to get a bit of momentum, get a bit of initiative. They never got that really last week. First half they were very conservative at Forest and allowed, I think, the home team to boss it and take control of the game, really. And they never really got into their stride. So going towards the Holt end, the crowd will demand they're up for it.
Now Tielemans caught in possession. Igor Jesus flicked off towards the blonde-haired Hutchinson. A real skirmish with about 6 or 7 players trying to win possession back, and it's the former Forest man, Matty Cash, that can do that. Plays it forward towards McGinn, gets it back again, and then Ezri Konsa under pressure from Wood. Finds Tielemans, a much more assured touch from him. On towards Lindelof, who buys the throw off Elliot Anderson, which will be taken on the Villa right-hand side by Cash. There was an extra ball on the pitch, so Cash couldn't take the throws quickly as he wanted to. And will now wait and prepare to launch it up the touchline. Absolutely scintillating atmosphere here at Villa Park. You couldn't arrive here and not know that this was a game of epic magnitude, one of the very biggest. Cash getting it forward. Watkins going up for it. Rodgers very quickly in support. A miscue by Jai Cunha. And then Anderson getting involved as hauled Watkins down. As a free kick to Villa on their right.
Yeah, both teams just need to settle down a little bit. Difficult because so much at stake and you're so desperate to get off to a positive start. But this is the first opportunity for Villa to... They've got a free kick midway in Forest territory towards the right-hand side. Cash and McGinn over it. They're going to wind this one in towards the penalty spot.
This game brought to you in association with TNT Sports, the home of European football. 0-0 on the night. That Chris Wood penalty 20 minutes from time last week. Still the difference between the two on aggregate. John McGinn with Villa's first set piece, left-footed, swung in, travelled a long way, and his flick just narrowly wide of the far post.
Oh, wow. That travelled a long way, that free kick. Beautiful flight on it from John McGinn, curling towards that far post, which is exactly the right idea. The target there for John McGinn isn't necessarily any of the claret and blue shirts in the box. Try and whip it just inside that far post, and the trajectory on that was absolutely perfect.
Well, it was Ezri Konsa that made the run in that far post area. I'm not convinced that he got a touch. He has gone out of play for a goal kick, which is driven along by Ortega. Lindelof winning it, beating Chris Wood. And the ball comes down towards Cash. It's going to be interesting as the game progresses. Forest in this 4-4-2 formation that has been so successful for them over the last 3-4 weeks or so. As Buendia is fouled, whether Lindelof will just drop in and will detail either Igor Jesus or Chris Wood, whoever is playing in the pocket behind the other one. Maybe that's his role, that's the thinking behind that tonight.
Yeah, and I think as well, when you've got someone like Victor Lindelof in that position, look, as they are now, Jim, so you've got almost as a back three, Pau Torres, Ezri Konsa central, Lindelof off the right side, which allows Matty Cash and on the other side, Luca Digne to push on a bit.
Ball goes out of play, it's a goal kick which will be taken by Ortega away to our right-hand side. We're 5 minutes in here on TalkSport. Those are the thoughts of Andy Townsend. Jack Colback also part of our commentary team tonight. Jack, what have you made of the opening exchanges?
I think it's been a nervy start from both teams. It's been a few slashes at the ball. It was a great ball in from John McGinn, just asking for somebody to knock it in the back of the net. Luckily for Forest, nothing came of it, but it's been an intense start, but I think both teams need to settle down.
Morato pumping it forward towards halfway. Victor Lindelof sticking his foot in. And Dominguez has won it back. Clever little backheel flick from Hutchinson, and then Igor Jesus got caught by Cash. Challenges flying in all over the place. Anderson ends up on the deck, but Glenn Niebuhr, the Swedish referee, allows play to continue. Ball goes out towards Amari Hutchinson. Dropping his shoulder, trying to take on Luca Digne, and he got there first. He gave him 5 yards over 20 and still was there first and wins the throw.
How quick was he there, Amari Hutchinson? Luca Digne, that's the one thing, very, very composed and confident with the ball at his feet, the Villa left back. If he's got blatant pace coming at him, he can struggle if he gets a bit isolated. So, got to be careful there. Amari Hutchinson, just give him a little glimpse of what he's about. Electric pace over 20 yards.
Playing the 500th senior game of his club career tonight, Luca Digne. And it's not going to be the easiest of the 500. Ball thrown back towards halfway for Forest to Milenkovic, who's a record of not having missed a single minute of Premier League action. Ended on Monday, Forest making 8 changes and was superb in that win at Chelsea on Monday, but they've had a day less to recover. Aston Villa playing Sunday night, making 7 changes, and they're producing one of their worst performances of the season so far in that 2-1 home defeat to Spurs. Lindelof challenged by Anderson, ball out of play for a throw that'll be taken on the Aston Villa right by Matty Cash. And they've got a fantastic home record in Europe, Villa. They've won their last 9 games here that they played in continental football. Since a goalless draw against Juventus, they've scored nearly 4 times as many as they've conceded over that run. In fact, since Emery came to the club, they've won 17 out of 19, which is sensational. The only home defeat was in the home leg of the last European semi-final in the Conference League against Olympiacos a couple of years ago. It's fair to say Villa are almost guaranteed to play better tonight than they did that day. Ball's out for a throw that the Forest will prevaricate over. And eventually will take over on the right-hand side with Milenkovic. 0-0, we played 7.5 minutes. Still 1-0 to Forest on aggregate. Still 0-0 in the Palace game, which is live for you right now over on TalkSport 2. We'll be there very shortly. McAtee down towards the Nottingham Forest left for Nico Williams. Quick exchange of passes with Anderson. Williams given a little push by Cash. Referee says free kick. Initially, he was going to let Villa have a throw, but it is going to be a Forest free kick instead. Let's go to Selhurst Park, find out what's been going on in the early stages there. Ian Abrahams.
10 minutes gone, Palace 1, Shakhtar Donetsk 0. The goal scorer is Jeremy Pino. It is subject to a VAR check, not sure why, because there wasn't an obvious offside to it. Mateta's flick on towards Pino. He ran past his defender and slotted past the keeper. It's lift off to Leipzig for Palace. Palace 3, Shakhtar 1, 4-1 to Palace on aggregate.
Yep, looks that way. Great start for Palace. The ball played forward here down the Forest left. McAtee getting it infield for Hutchinson, who curves one narrowly wide. Jack Colback.
Yeah, great play from Forest. It was a lovely pass initially from Elliot Anderson into James McAtee, and he played an equally fantastic ball across on his left foot to the on-running Amari Hutchinson, who's come in onto his left and bent a shot, and you're just waiting for the net to ripple, but unfortunately it went wide.
Great effort, lovely play as well from Forest there. Very accurate, very quick and direct, and then again isolating Hutchinson on Luca Digne very quickly, and a tasty shot just wide.
Well, the winners of this will take on the winners of Freiburg against Braga, as McAtee fires a cross in that Pau Torres just about deals with.
Oh, what a challenge that was from Pau Torres. If he doesn't get that, Chris Wood's got to tap him.
Tielemans bringing forward, strong marauding run. He's gone 30 yards, 40 yards, trying to slip it in towards Rodgers. It's kind of back off the heel of Milenkovic, who can then clear down the right towards Igor Jesus. In that other game, in this competition, Braga 2-1 up from the first leg, but down to 10 men already. Mario Dorgeles, the Ivorian midfielder, sent off. So Braga 2-1 up on aggregate, but down to 10 men. That goal at Selhurst Park disallowed. And Jeremy Pino's goal chalked off by the VAR after a very lengthy inspection. Still 0-0 and 3-1 on aggregate to Palace. And the game continues right now on TalkSport 2. If you've got the TalkSport app, very easy just to go to the Live Games tab down at the bottom. And you can flick between that game and this, and you won't miss any of the action. Elliot Anderson in possession, near the edge of his own penalty area. Gets it forward, Igor Jesus with a little flick, well read by Digne. Villa winning it back, Tielemans getting it out of the left-hand side. Travelling well, Emi Buendia. Slips the ball down the left-hand side of the penalty area for Watkins. Got the better of Milenkovic. Tries to cut the ball back towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and Villa win the first corner of the night.
Yeah, Villa doing well there, because that was actually a nice 5-minute spell from Forest. They created a couple of decent situations themselves, but just there, Emi Buendia turned the ball over down Villa's left side. Ollie Watkins doing particularly well, trying to cut it back from the dead ball line, but Villa do have the bonus of this corner.
And Matty Cash is going to take it. First Villa corner. Two-pace runner, hits it in towards the near post. Dangerous flick by Pau Torres, well saved by Ortega, who leapt behind him, put his left hand above his head and tipped it away over the bar.
Yeah, nice delivery in. Pau Torres, good movement, just gets in front of Igor Jesus, sort of flicking it on towards that far post area. It's a pretty comfortable save from Ortega. Spectacular, but one that you would fully expect him to make, and he tips it over.
So an in-swinger from Cash off the left. It's going to be an in-swinger from McGinn off the Villa right. Clipped in towards the near post again, looking for the flick. And they'll do it all again as Igor Jesus covered the run of Torres. And it goes out of play for another corner. So 3 in very quick succession for Aston Villa. 0-0 here on TalkSport. The Europa League semi-final second leg. Cash offering himself for the short one. McGinn goes much deeper this time. Ortega punching it away, back into the fray from Tielemans. And then a little bouncing effort that Milenkovic can get clear. Goes out towards Digne on the Villa left, who flicks it back. Forest still with everybody back behind the ball. And Villa are going to be able to come again. It's rolled out towards Cash. 15 outside the penalty area. Down towards McGinn. McGinn taking on McAtee. Gets to the byline. Great ball in. Headed away by Morato. Now to Buendia. 15 outside the penalty area. Deeper ball in. Pau Torres still up there. Overhit for him, and it bounces and goes through out of play for a goal kick. Really good spell of Aston Villa pressure, but it remains 0-0.
Beautiful ball from John McGinn, this time with his right foot. Whipped in, dangerous ball in, Jack, that.
It was, yeah, and that is the sort of spell of pressure that Villa are going to produce in the type that Forest have to dig in and get through, and eventually it goes behind for a goal kick. But just when Forest seemed to get a grip of the game, Villa came back and puts a lot of pressure on.
Ortega getting the ball forward and again taking his time about the restart. Lindelof comes to meet it with Wood. Brought down by Anderson, who is just given a shove to the deck by Morgan Rogers, his England teammate. Don't forget every England game and every other game from the forthcoming FIFA World Cup live on the TalkSport network, all 104 of them, starting on June the 11th. Here's Milenkovic at the back. Down towards Morato. Morato poking it forward. Elliot Anderson has it. Forrest in there. Change kick tonight of off-white shirts and black shorts. Looks though Anderson might just have had his foot trodden on there, but play is allowed to continue. Dominguez gets it back to his goalkeeper, and Ortega in all orange fires it forward. Nicely brought down by Igor Jesus. Poor ball from him back to Anderson. He had to stretch. He's been caught again. Bit of pushing and shoving going on between Anderson and Rogers.
He's got short memory, Elliot Anderson, I can tell you. Because a week ago he left one on Ollie Watkins. It was a proper challenge. Now he's moaning about one or two coming at him there. And get used to it.
Ball play forward by Williams. Knocked down by Rogers. Into space for Emi Buendia. Coming forward, going for goal. Didn't get the power on it to beat Ortega, who dives to his right and makes the save. 0-0.
Yeah, decent strike. Never really enough power on that to seriously trouble Stefan Ortega. Comfortable save for the goalkeeper. But the game has had a nice ebb and flow to it. Said Forest had a really nice spell actually after the initial sort of 6 or 7 minutes. And then Villa have just picked it up once or twice, but both teams enjoying nice possession and looking dangerous when they go forward.
Anderson has done well to work the ball past McGinn. Chris Wood, is he onside? No flag up against him yet. He's got it. He's gone to ground pretty readily inside the penalty area under a challenge from Torres. No complaints from Wood that it should have been a penalty. Villa clear. McGinn brings it forward. Anderson quickly back goal side has brought McGinn down. Free kick taken too quickly for the referee, and it's been a great ball forward towards Rogers. And there are complaints from the Villa bench from both Unai Emery and Austin McPhee that the referee should just have allowed the advantage there. He's pulled it back and it's going to be a free kick, Jack.
Yeah, I think John McGinn's so good at that, using his body. So the ball played down the line, he didn't have much space, but he just waited and brought the foul from Elliot Anderson. I think Anderson needs to just settle down slightly, because the Villa players, a few of them now have left, a little late one on him, and he's just wary of maybe losing his head a bit.
Well, the descent from the Villa bench continued, and the Swedish referee wasn't having it. Unai Emery, like the referee, told everybody behind him to calm down, but still something was said, and one of the coaching contingent has picked up a yellow card. It's not Emery himself or Austin McPhee, who was also standing in the back of the technical area at the time. Villa have it. Consta finding Tielemans, and now Pau Torres gets it forward, can't find Digne. Mari Hutchinson sort of that, comes back, wins it back, lays it back for Jair Cunha, forward into space for Anderson, who's teased one over the top far too heavily, and Pau Torres can run round it. You're listening to Villa Forest in the Europa League. It's live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. First 17 minutes, Andy ever raced by, still 0-0.
Yeah, it has been a lively start. I think Hutchison's actually featured nicely for Forest early on in the game. As you would imagine, Elliot Anderson right in the thick of it, showing again what a good player he can be. So I think for Villa, I haven't seen much of Morgan Rogers so far. I think they'd like to get Rogers and Watkins involved just a little bit more, Jack.
Yeah, I think in these moments now where it's kind of deep in the Villa half, both teams are set up really compact, so it's going to be difficult to find space. It's moments like this now.
As Cash plays it forward, Rogers barreled into there by Morato, and he's the first player to have a yellow card tonight. No complaints from him. Catching Morgan Rogers as Villa broke quickly.
Yeah, actually played 2 or 3 passes there, got in behind Forest midfield, found Morgan Rogers right on the halfway line when he can turn and run with it. And Morato not letting him go anywhere, immediately goes to ground. He gets a yellow card for that challenge. He's a little unlucky, I think, with that in some ways, but because of the momentum that it denied Villa, referee was always going to produce a card, so he's got to be careful.
In the other Europa League semi-final, Braga now lead, Freiburg, now lead 10-man Braga 1-0. That's 2-2 on aggregate. This is 1-0 to Forest on aggregate as the free kick is taken. Chipped inside the penalty area. Cash made a darting run, but the ball beat him over the line. And it's out of play for a goal kick that, again, Ortega will take his time over in front of the hold end, away to our right-hand side. 0-0 through the opening 18 minutes here on TalkSport. And more live football coming your way tomorrow as the playoffs start. We'll be in the East Riding of Yorkshire for Hull against Millwall tomorrow night. And then the other Championship playoff semi-final first leg, Middlesbrough-Southampton, is a 12:30 kickoff on Teesside, Saturday lunchtime. We've got all of the playoff games on TalkSport. Here's Anderson. Ball from Anderson towards James McAtee, sliding in. McGinn fell over him, injured himself. If anything, he made that challenge. Villa get it forward. Rogers, clever touch, flicked off towards Buendia. Buendia chopping it back onto his left foot. Brought down. Joseph had his legs swept from underneath him, and it's a free kick given away by Igor Jesus, only about 5 yards outside the penalty area, right of centre.
Yeah, dangerous situation. As I felt Milenkovic made a bad decision there. He backed away rather than stepping in and maybe dealing with the ball that was laid up to Ollie Watkins. And then from there, Buendia picked the ball up. And in the end, he gets caught just on the edge, it's about 3 or 4 yards outside the box. Pretty central. Perfect shooting distance, this, Jack.
It's a great position, yeah, and I think Buendia is really coming alive on the turnovers when Forest have it and they lose it. He comes from a left-hand side position and he's really sharp, and he's looked dangerous 1 or 2 times now, and this is a great chance for Villa.
It was Dominguez that gave that free kick away, and he's one of the 5 strong Nottingham Forest wall that is just being lined up by Ortega, who is back to the left-hand post of his goal, the right-hand post as we look at it. Now, this is central enough that it could be a right footer or a left footer. Digne stands over it. Buendia looks favourite. But Tielemans is a spare man for a ball stabbed forward into the D. It looks as though this is going to be a direct shot. So 4 in the wall. It is taken. The quartet did its job. Ricochets off them, over the bar, and out of play for Aston Villa's 4th corner of the night.
He actually hit that quite nice, Emi Buendia there, but it's a really good wall from Forest. With all big guys in there, they all jump as well and manage to knock it away for a corner on the far side, which Matty Cash looks like he's going to swing in towards that near post.
He's got his right hand up. He's given the signal. In he comes. 3-step run up. Right-footed deep. Tielemans attacking it. It's just glanced off him, really. Couldn't get decent contact on it. And it's gone out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Ortega. But they've already played better football in the opening 20 minutes tonight than they did in any part of that first leg last week.
Yeah, I agree. It was only in the second half I felt Villa last week got it like anything like up to speed. But by that time they were already behind in the game and finding life a little bit difficult. So Chris Wood hasn't seen a lot of it, nor has Igor Jesus really over the last 10 minutes. I think Villa have been better, but not a lot to choose between the two teams. And again, look, in a game like this, first goal tonight is going to be absolutely huge. It's going to be so significant. Why wouldn't it be? But it just is. It's going to be a huge moment, that, I think, tonight in this one.
6 attempts to 1 in Aston Villa's favour so far. Possession almost dead level. Although when Villa have had it, it's been in better areas. And they've had that flurry of corners as well. And Ortega's not had a difficult save to make, though. Ball driven forward again. Milenkovic battling with Watkins. Milenkovic waving Watkins up after winning the challenge. Brought down neatly by Anderson in the midfield. McAtee under pressure as well to guide it back for the England man. Now down to the left for the Welshman Nico Williams. Takes a touch, goes back inside his own half. Works it down towards the shaven-headed Milenkovic, who's happy to work it back for Ortega behind him. Adam Morato. Morato's ball forward. Williams receiving ease, then under pressure. Tielemans has done well, coming from the blind side and win it back. Rodgers getting it forward. Watkins back for Tielemans. McGinn picking it up on the left foot. Cash making a run down the Villa right. He's level the edge of the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Back he goes for McGinn. Victor Lindelöf's got it again. Now towards Matty Cash. Villa stringing the passes together, but Forest making sure that they can't play a perceptive one. Cash chipping it in. Milenkovic heads it away. Dominguez gets it further clear, but it only comes out for McGinn. McGinn down the right-hand side of the box. Rodgers flashes in across. That's blocked, and then it comes back and maybe hits an arm of a Nottingham Forest defender, but it's gone out of play for a goal kick. Let's go back to Selhurst Park. TalkSport's Ian Abrahams.
25 gone, Palace 1, Shakhtar Donetsk 0. This one does count. Adam Wharton's shot from 25 yards, palmed out by the keeper, right of centre, and Daniel Munoz trying to cross it in via the goalkeeper at the far post. His goal though, Palace 1, Shakhtar 0, 4-1 on aggregate, live on TalkSport 2.
6 of the season for Daniel Munoz, and you have to think the Palace are there pretty comfortably. Here's Konsa. Down towards Cash. Now Palace incidentally playing the winners of Strasbourg against Rayo Vallecano, which is 0-0 on the night, and still 1-0 to the Spanish side on aggregate. Ball's cleared by Ortega for Forest from away to our right-hand side. They're kicking from right to left, defending the whole end in this first half. Williams back for Morato. Ortega taking a touch, and Watkins tried to deny him the time to take a second, but he works it outside the penalty area for Jaya Cunha. 20-year-old's clearance was poor, intercepted, and then played by Yuri Tielemans out to the left. Buendia's cross deflects, goes into the side netting, out of play for another Aston Villa corner.
He looks a little awkward at right back, Jaya Cunha. He's a big man, Jack, isn't he? He's a really huge lad, and a couple of times when he's receiving the ball on the half turn, he's looked a little bit cumbersome and a little awkward with it, so he's got to be careful because Buendia is hovering in and around him and pinched it well there.
He looks like he's never played there before.
There's good reason for that. In comes the corner towards the near post. It's come off the top of Milenkovic's head, headed back down. Ortega dives to his left, makes a comfortable stop, but a nasty one for Ollie Watkins, who seems to have been caught in the face there. In fact, there are players from both sides lying stricken inside the penalty area. And lightning has struck a third time for Nottingham Forest in the space of 3 days in terms of a nasty clash of heads. Hopefully this won't be anything like as bad as the two that we saw on Monday at Stamford Bridge.
Certainly Ollie Watkins, he leapt well there and sort of just seemed to get off the ground a little bit quicker. I'm not sure who it is, the defender that's down, Jim, with him. Is it Morato or is it Jaya Cunha? I'm not sure. But yeah, Watkins did well. He was about 7 yards out, really. About 7 yards out, and just leapt and nodded it towards the goal, but took a bang in the face as well. Heads coming together.
Yeah, the ball came up from the edge of the 6-yard box from Milenkovic, and then the two players converging on it, and the contact absolutely inevitable. I bet Morgan Gibbs-White sat on the bench, winced at that. You're listening to Aston Villa against Nottingham Forest in the Europa League. It's live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. It is great to see Gibbs-White being here as part of the matchday squad. Just 3 days on from that horrific clash with Rob Sanchez, which saw them both have to leave the field. Not sure what the situation is in reality for Gibbs White, whether he could play any part today. You would imagine that they would be forced to play safe, really.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it would be last resort, or even potentially, if it goes to penalties, you'd bring him on to take one.
It's a very good point, yeah. If it went the distance, Jim, then certainly you could get him on. Just having a look there at that. Both guys have got their eyes on the ball, and certainly Ollie Watkins looks like he comes off second best with that one, because he was the one that made contact and, as I mentioned, was just that little bit higher than everybody in the 6-yard box there.
I think providing both are okay, which it seems like they are, I think that's came at a good time for Forest.
Yes, yeah, just to break the game up a bit.
They were under a lot of pressure, and it just gives them a chance to regroup, settle down a bit, come together, have a little chat and work on how they can maybe get up the pitch a bit more.
Well, those thoughts of Jack Colback, the former Nottingham Forest midfielder, fine representative of many other clubs as well, of course. So this break has been 3 or 4 minutes or so. Dominguez is okay, but Watkins still receiving treatment. All the way to our right-hand side, sat up inside the penalty area. And that's a great point that you make about Gibbs White being there 4 penalties. I mean, Forest have had so many shootouts in the relatively recent past. He's actually already taken 6 penalties in shootouts, Morgan Gibbs White, for Forest. He scored them all. So clearly you can understand why they'd want to bring him off the bench in the 119th minute if we go that far.
Yeah, well, we'll see if we get that far. Obviously a lot of football to be played between now and that point before it comes to that. I think with what we've seen, as I mentioned, very competitive between the two boxes. Haven't seen a lot of Chris Wood or Igor Jesus, and likewise Villa haven't got enough out of Morgan Rogers and Watkins yet. So which out of these front two are going to prove to be game changers, and which out of those 4 players is really going to pick it up and start to look really dangerous? As of yet, haven't really seen that, Jack, have we?
No, we haven't. Like you say, it's been very compact in the middle. There's been 1 or 2 moments for Villa where on turnover they've been able to break quickly. Buendia had the shot early on and then the free kick, but other than that it's been quite scrappy so far.
Well, Watkins is running off. A big white bandage now across his forehead. There was a cut just above his eye. That has been stitched up and attended to. So he's going to be able to come back on. That Morato, who's the Forest player involved, is similarly waiting, having received treatment. Both will be allowed to come back on now. Play resumes after a 3.5-minute stoppage. Still 0-0. And as Jack said, Nottingham Forest with a chance just to draw a collective breath, really. And it come at a good time for them. McAtee. Dominguez helping it down towards Williams. Williams with this slightly awkward looking running style that he's got, but a clear candidate for one of the Forest players of the season. Here's Cash down by the corner flag, and Williams very quickly on his toes. Cash turns it into him and it goes out of play for a throw that Villa will take right down by their corner flag. This game brought to you in association with TNT Sports, the home of European football. We're just past the halfway mark over on TalkSport 2. Palace leading by a goal to 0 against Shakhtar. They're 4-1 up on aggregate and they're heading for Leipzig and the Conference League final. At the moment it's Forest who are heading for the Europa League final, but there's a long way to go in this. At least an hour, maybe more. Martinez bowls it out, finds Digne but only just. It was just a little bit lackadaisical with the throw out there. And Amari Hutchinson has won the second ball for Forest, finding Elliot Anderson. A long aerial switch of play. Williams does well, controls it neatly with his right foot, plays it down towards McAtee, in behind him. Harried by Watkins, but he was able to maintain possession. Plays it forward now towards Wood. He's continued his run here, McAtee. Lindelof very quickly goal side, so he's worked it wide for Williams. Williams with a cross. Lindelof blocked that. McAtee comes and dispossesses him. Plays it back out. Another ball in from Williams. Swerves away from Igor Jesus. And it's cleared onto the right foot of Dominguez, who's fired it high into the north stand. 0-0. Let's go back to Selhurst Park. Ian Abrahams.
Palace 1, Shakhtar Donetsk 1. Eguinaldo has put the ball in the back, and a lovely finish actually. Turned inside the box in tightly, and he just passed it into the back of net beyond Dean Henderson. Shouldn't make much difference. Palace 1, Shakhtar 1 on the night. 4-2 on aggregate. Live on TalkSport 2. I still think they might be going to Leipzig.
So Palace still 2 goals up on aggregate. Forest 1 goal up on aggregate after that Chris Wood penalty last week. Cash gets the ball forward here for the Villa. And it's cleared by Nico Williams. Off balance, but he's done well to get good height and distance on it. Conser beating Chris Wood. Lindelof then plays it forward. If you're just joining us, he's playing in midfield tonight. The first time he started a game there since his days in the Benfica B team back in 2015. Not a complete experiment. We have seen a few cameos off the bench over the course of the season. A couple of them pretty recent. But it's worked all right for Villa so far tonight. Tielemans has got it. 0-0 on the night. Pau Torres played forward. Igor Jesus almost able to seize upon the loose ball. Villa have won it back. Buendia. Watkins from a Rodgers pass. Then another stumble by Buendia, but he's able to get back on his feet and retain possession. Played square towards Cash. Coming onto it. He's going to fire one in. He's deflected and cleared by Anderson. And Forest will be able to bring it away. But Villa looking more potent whenever they push forward. Now Forest working wide towards Hutchinson. But Pau Torres making life really difficult for him straight away. They've won it back of Aston Villa. Another shot comes in, and Ortega diving to his right. He's grateful that Tielemans' effort goes past the post. And out of play for a goal kick. 0-0 with 34 minutes gone.
Yeah, it's good play from Villa. Forest had the ball, had possession a couple of times there, but because Villa are on the front foot and they're pressing and they're forcing mistakes, turning the ball over, and they've got Yuri Tielemans there into a really good shooting position. It wasn't one of his finest strikes. We know when he hits them properly, they stay hit, but that one he's bobbled it a little bit, and I think Ortega would have always stopped it had it been just inside the post.
Ball punted for by Ortega. Bounces a couple of times. Lindelof heads it back for Martinez.
And Chris Wood's got to do more in terms of battling away. Look, they're not easy when the goalkeeper's knocking it 60 yards up to him. He's up against Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa, but he's a big guy, and that's a lot of Chris Wood's game. He is getting his head on things and keeping that ball alive at that end of the field. And at the moment, when it's going up to Forest front, boys, it's coming back pretty quickly, too quickly, I think, Jack.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Andy. I think that's drawn Forest into playing a bit more shorter from the back, and when they are doing that, they're getting caught.
Milenkovic, as Ortega came to deal with another long ball forward. I don't know if the goalkeeper gave him a shout. Milenkovic ignored him, felt forced to take responsibility, get it away from Watkins. Villa will come again with Buendia. Oh, good quick feed from him. He's inside the penalty area. Draw is square, and only Watkins fires it in. And Aston Villa lead on the night, and it's all square on aggregate. And he runs to the front of the hole and takes the adulation from 35,000 jubilant Brummies. Aston Villa leading by a goal to nil. It has been coming, and it's dead level on aggregate. And after more than 2 hours of Midlands derby football in this European semi-final, we're back in a position where the most significant moment of the tie still lies ahead of us. 1-0 to the Villa.
Great play from Ollie Watkins, because it was a long ball down the middle that the goalkeeper and Milenkovic, they never really sorted out. Then Forest cleared it, but from there Villa again applied the pressure. Emi Buendia does great, wriggles through a couple of challenges, waits and waits and waits before he knocks it across the 6-yard box, and there's Ollie Watkins with a tap-in.
Dominguez, as Nottingham Forest more purposefully try and attack. Punted inside the penalty area, flicked on by McAtee. First one was clear, second one is as well. Rodgers forward towards Watkins. Watkins takes a touch, Milenkovic dives and wins it, but Rodgers can come forward, and then he's Stopped by fair means, not foul. And Rodgers back on his feet. And Nottingham Forest will bring it forward with Williams. But Aston Villa leading by a goal to nil. And Forest immediately, Jack Colback, much more progressive from the restart as their game plan has to change.
Yeah, straight away now, obviously they're now level. It was a great goal from Villa's perspective. Wendy, I mentioned a few times, he's looked lively, great feet. I think defensively they should have done better. Cunha maybe susceptible to, being a bit weak in the tackle, but Forest obviously came out and got on the front foot a bit, but they just need to relax. I think they look tense, they just need to calm down a bit, put their foot on it and deal with the situation.
Yeah, I think they've made too many unforced errors and mistakes whilst in possession, Forest, in this last 15 minutes, which has encouraged Villa and has allowed them to squeeze with good success. And they've turned the ball over 2 or 3 times, and Emi Buendia does great there because he's in the box, he's close to the dead ball line, he's waiting for someone to find, and it's not easy. The natural feeling there is that you want to hit something as quick as you can, as early as you can, but to his credit, he waited, he paused, he delayed, and then he found Ollie Watkins for a tap-in.
Now McGinn getting away from Dominguez in the midfield. Villa rampant, looking for more. Watkins again, save, back out for Rodgers, and that one is almost in Perry Bar. He's got his foot underneath it from the right-hand side of the penalty area and whacked it. It didn't go where he wanted it to. Ollie Watkins scored in both legs of the quarterfinals. He's now scored in 4 of his last 5 against Forest here. And only minutes after he had to be patched up for a knock across the eye, he's given Forest a bloody nose. 1-0 to Villa, 1-1 on aggregate here on Talk Sport. Throw to be taken on the Nottingham Forest right. Much improved Villa performance after the 3 successive defeats that we've seen. Forest coming into this, of course, unbeaten in 10 and on the back of 5 straight wins in League and Cup, but haven't been able to do themselves justice for whatever reason so far tonight, with 6 minutes to go to half-time and 1-1 the aggregate score.
Yeah, all to play for, but Villa now have the initiative. They have the momentum for the first time really in the tie. You can hear everybody inside Villa Park and Claret and Blue is really up for it right now. So, as I mentioned, Forest, Elliot Anderson, who's in possession right now, has been excellent for 20 minutes. And then he and Dominguez all of a sudden just lost that little bit of a grip on it. And it allowed Buendia, McGinn and Rodgers and co to just start running at that back 4 a little bit more.
Well, Freiburg are now ahead on aggregate in the other semi-final. They're 2 up against 10-man Braga on the night and 3-2 up on aggregate. And set there, you would imagine the side from the Black Forest to make it through to the final, which is live on Talk Sport a week on Wednesday from the Beşiktaş ground in Istanbul on May the 20th. The Talk Sport will be there. Villa 1, Forest 0, 1-1 the aggregate score.
Jack, what do you think Forest will be thinking going into half-time? What's got to happen?
Well, I think you made a great point about Chris Wood and not holding the ball, really. I think because it keeps coming back, it's then forcing them to play a bit shorter.
Hutchinson, just for a moment, got past Pau Torres, but then was forced to turn back the other way, and Buendia's doubled up on him and he can knock it away.
Yeah, and when they're playing short, it's playing into Villa's hands because the press is really good, it's really aggressive. So they just need to find a way. I'm not sure, really. I think we're seeing how big a miss Morgan Gibbs-White is, really. He's the player they rely on so much.
And Sangare as well is another notable absentee, and their record this season is vastly different when he started and when he hasn't. He is on the bench, Sangare. Now, how fit he is, I don't know. Whether they think they can get 45 minutes out of him. Wouldn't be surprised to see Sangare for Dominguez at some stage. Forest have got possession, they're inside their own half with Morato going away to the right-hand side. I mean, plenty of other injuries as well for Forest. John Victor, Savona, Bolly, Hudson-Odoi, Murillo, only fit enough for a place on the bench. No Aina tonight, no Dan and Doy, no Zach Abbott. And Awani scored a couple of goals at the weekend. He's ineligible, so by no means at full strength, Nottingham Forest. They've got it here with Amari Hutchinson. He's played it back towards Anderson. 3.5 minutes to go, but a stack of stoppage time to be added after the clash of heads between Morado and Watkins. Hutchinson has possession over on the far touchline. It's the Nottingham Forest right. He's laid it back towards Milenkovic. Night falling here in Birmingham, but whose European run will the lights go out on? Morado knocking it forward. Wood makes the run down the inside left channel. They still can't get the ball into him in the kind of areas that he wants it. Martinez comes out, throws himself on it, and we're 3 minutes plus stoppage time away from half-time.
Yeah, and without the ability to hang on to it out front, Forest to find him, then all of a sudden you keep losing possession, and eventually you start coming under pressure and you start backpedaling towards the edge of your own box and allowing Villa a bit more room and space to stitch a few passes together. So I think Unai Emery would be delighted. First 5 or 10 minutes, very close. Forest had a little spell for 5 where they created a couple of good chances. Nothing came of them. Since then, it's been pretty much all Villa.
And Villa will play through the press here and get it wide towards Cash, who comes over the halfway line to the turning McGinn. And 2 Nottingham Forest players very quickly back goal side. And force McGinn just to hold up for a moment. He's laid it to his right and he's found Cash. Now from Cash into midfield for Lindelof to Tielemans, and then back for the big Swede again. He has played in the latter stages of this competition before. Victor Lindelof, from back in his Manchester United days, as has this man, Pau Torres, who won the Europa League under Unai Emery when he was at Villarreal. And Emery's record in this competition, as you know, sensational. This is 7th Europa League semi-final. He lost the first one with Valencia, but he's won the rest. And this one is in the balance. 1-0 to Villa on the night, 1-1 the aggregate score. Villa on halfway with Pau Torres. And he gets it out to the left for Digne, and it comes back for Torres again. Just about to go into the 45th minute here on TalkSport. Tielemans, the retreating Rodgers, just works it back for Pau Torres, and Rodgers turns, having played the pass, and now is the most advanced of the Villa players again. Cash in towards McGinn. McGinn forced away initially by Anderson. And the ball has just gone over the line before McAtee could control it. Not how Vitor Pereira saw it, and he had a perfect view. The referee has given the free kick Aston Villa's way. They've taken it quickly and wasted it. Anderson's got it again, and then he was given a shove, and he's gone down holding his head. He's got caught on the top of the head there, Elliot Anderson.
I think the ball got kicked against him, Jim. I think just as he was going to turn out and go back towards his centre halves, Elliot Anderson there, and then he realised he's surrounded. And when he just hits the floor here, look, the ball just ends up being booted and it comes off the top of his head. He's all right, he's back on his feet.
And the free kick given for the initial indiscretion. Now Forest will take it in their left-back position.
Just seeing a rerun of the goal, Jim, there, and Elliot Anderson just slipped. He got back to try and deny Buendia in the box, and he just lost his foot in, which allowed Buendia to carry on towards the dead ball line, and then once he cuts it back, Ollie Watkins is not missing that one.
4 minutes added time. Minimum 4 minutes added time.
Now we're into those 4 extra minutes now, as Amari Hutchinson can't get on the end of a ball that is headed forward. Villa win it back. Tielemans showing for it in the midfield. Heeded the cry of man on as Igor Jesus tried to pick his pocket. And Villa work it down towards Cash. And Villa kicking from left to right in this first half in their famous claret and blue. Cash had lost it. He'd stumbled and very nearly made a miraculous recovery to regain possession. Forest trying to bring it away with Dominguez having the ball at his feet. But the player's been pulled back by the Swedish referee because McAtee had gone down. I think the Forest players are making the point that an advantage would have worked quite well for them there. Free kick to Forest near the left-hand touchline. You're with TalkSport tomorrow night. Playoff action from the Championship. Hull against Millwall, who've got so much victorious playoff experience within the squad. The Lions go to Hull tomorrow night. First leg of that kick-off at 8 here on TalkSport. The ball worked forward here. Chris Wood chasing it. just getting involved in a little bit of a wrestling match with Konsa. Plenty going on from both sides. Konsa defending that really well. Buendia for the Tielemans. Tielemans down towards McGinn. McGinn on halfway, checks, and quick switch of play which just evades the stretching leg of Amari Hutchinson. Digne back to Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans into the field on the edge of the penalty area. It slipped in, but Anderson knocks it away. Buendia lurking again. They still haven't found a way to be able to counter Emi Buendia so far. He's certainly getting the better of his individual battle against Jaya Cunha. Just to reiterate, starting a game at right back, it's the biggest game of his career, and it's the first of his career he's started at full-back. Pretty invidious circumstances for him. Buendia's had the better of him so far tonight. That was where the goal came from. And now Aston Villa get a free kick, which will be taken over on the left-hand touchline. And a yellow card is shown to the aforementioned Jaya Cunha for the foul.
I think Vitor Pereira's got a couple of big calls to make at half-time. Igor Jesus really hasn't figured in the game at all. Villa are kind of 3-on-2 against Dominguez and Elliot Anderson, and are picking those two guys off, finding little bits of space. Jaya Cunha now in the right-back position doesn't look comfortable. You say he's a centre-half by trade, Jim, and he has never played in this position before, and he doesn't look particularly happy playing there. He's a giant of a lad, and he just looks a little awkward. Things are happening a bit quick in and around him, and at the moment he's not coping particularly well. So I think for Forest they've got a couple of big calls to make at half-time, how they adjust to get more of a foothold in the game again.
I come back to that in a moment. We'll get Jack's views on how things might shuffle round. In comes this Villa free kick. It's delivered deep, and Ortega's safely caught it. I mean, he could bring Murillo on, put him in at left back and switch Williams out to right back. They could move to a back three that we've seen on occasions under Vitor Pereira. There's Anderson battling with Rodgers in the midfield as well, a free kick. What would you do, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, he needs to change something because the momentum of the game is all with Villa. I think Forest try and go long and Chris Wood doesn't hold it up. They try and play short and they're getting caught on the ball, and it's dangerous places to lose the ball, and Villa look sharp there. Villa just look a bit sharp all around the pitch, I feel. All them little loose balls, they're first to it and they're breaking from there. So I think the issue they've got is that Nico Williams playing on the left hand side, he's the one offering the width, but when he gets it and he's on his left foot, there's only so much he can do with it.
Last action of the first half. It's a Nottingham Forest free kick. A Villa defensive line that is 6 yards outside the penalty area and only about 15 yards away from the ball. Anderson plays it into the gap behind them. Igor Jesus taking it on his chest, but couldn't then bring it down and get a shot in, and that will be half-time. And a standing ovation from the claret and blue hordes around the ground. Their side leading 1-0. Ollie Watkins 9 minutes before half-time after a ball in from Buendia. He's tied it up on aggregate. A monumental 45 minutes of Midlands Derby European football to come.
Jim, thank you very much. This game is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. We'll look over that first half in just a moment, but let's check in with how Crystal Palace are faring in their Conference League semi-final second leg at Selhurst Park. Ian Abrahams.
Half-time, Palace 1, Shakhtar Donetsk 1, so Palace 4-2 up on aggregate. They took the lead here when Daniel Munoz from a tight angle saw his effort go in off of Henrique. It might well go down as an own goal in the end. This after Walton's 20-yarder had been palmed out. Before that, Jeremy Pino had a goal disallowed for offside, and after that, JP Mateta with a glorious overhead kick saw that come back off the post. Shakhtar's moment came from Aguinaldo. A brilliant effort really from inside the penalty area, just sort of chipped into the top corner of the net. Nothing Dean Henderson could do about that. But Palace really are only 45 minutes away from Leipzig, and I think Oliver Glasner knows it as well. Half-time here, Palace 1, Shakhtar 1, 4-2 on aggregate. The second half of Palace's lift-off to Leipzig is on TalkSport 2.
Yes, going terrifically well then for Crystal Palace as they look like they're edging ever closer to a first European final. Here at Villa Park then, on the night, Villa 1-0 up against Nottingham Forest. That makes it 1-1 on aggregate. In the other tie, Freiburg have turned it around. They were 2-1 down from the first leg, but they're now 2-0 up in this second leg. And taking on a Braga side who are down to 10 men already. having been reduced to 10 men in the 6th minute of the game. So Freiburg looking as though they might well seal their place in this Europa League final. Who will seal their place here at Villa Park in that final come May the 20th? Well, we've still got another 45 minutes to go at least, but it's 1-1, as I say, on aggregate. Let's look over that first half then, shall we? Really interesting to see everyone walking off there. Morgan Gibbs-White was in conversation with Ryan Yates, and Ryan Yates is such a leader. I know he's the club captain, but he is so instrumental. I remember seeing him in the first leg, how he was chatting to so many of the substitutes as they were all warming up. But then Morgan Gibbs-White went to the referee, and he was the only player that was having a conversation with the referee. Jack Colback, could you imagine what he would be maybe having a word with the ref about?
I'm not sure really. I think there's been a few really soft fouls. I think that was suiting Forest initially because it was really slowing the game down and breaking up play, but now the tie's obviously level, it's a different story. But I think they've been a bit late on Elliot Anderson a few times. Obviously I think it's one of them things in football, you got to deal with that, you know. He's like Andy was saying, he stuck one on Watkins in the first leg, but
yeah. It's interesting seeing Ryan Yates out there warming up.
I think something's got to change for Forest. I do. And you know what?
They're getting a bit lost in midfield as well, aren't they?
Yes, you don't want to take off a forward player necessarily because, look, the game's the tie is all level. There's still a lot to play for. But sometimes you've got to get that foothold back in the game. You've got to wrestle a little bit more possession away from Villa. You've got to deny Villa a bit more to then maybe come on to something yourself attack-wise a little bit further down the line. But at the moment, the way the game is shaping up, Villa are going to get in front here and Forest are then going to be chasing. So I think it's no surprise to see Ryan Yates out there right now, Jack, going through his paces.
Yeah, I think that could be one of two things really. I think Villa have looked dangerous in that area. I think when the ball's broken down at times, they really come alive and they've created chances. But it could also be to get a grip of the game and get a bit of control and maybe put an extra midfield player in there, because at the moment, like we said, everything that goes forward's coming back, and other than probably 5 minutes at the start of the game, they've not really had a sustained moment of possession, and Villa look dangerous.
I agree.
Well, he is certainly being put through his paces right now, Ryan Yates, out on this pitch here at Villa Park. I mean, the stats don't make for good reading for Nottingham Forest. They've had 2 shots and none on target. You both flagged up there was an issue with Chris Wood and Igor Jesus. They weren't really getting anything in this game. And what was obvious in this first, I mean, Villa had to come out because they were trailing from that first leg, but there did seem to be a positive urgency to them throughout.
Yeah, I mentioned at Jim that sometimes, I mean, Villa always prefer to go towards the whole 10 second half, always have done. But you know what, tonight going that way just maybe engaged the whole 10 that little bit more and lifted everybody, and just, again, that initial 10 minutes, Forest looked reasonably comfortable, but then slowly, I thought they got a little careless in possession, Forest, and allowed Villa to get a bit of momentum and start building a few attacks and looking dangerous. A few crosses come in from McGinn, and they had 1 or 2 half chances, and then all of a sudden you just started to feel like they were getting on top and that a goal may be coming. And when it did, it was a really well-worked finish.
Well, there was so much to like about that goal. I mean, first of all, Ollie Watkins, the harrying of Milenkovic, and then Forest have to clear it, and they clear it quickly, so there's no real decision made of where it's going to go. That's why Villa win the ball back.
Exactly right.
And then Emi Buendia with his brilliant skills.
Spot on, exactly right. You know, Watkins did really well. He's good at that, Ollie.
Yeah.
Very good at just chasing lost causes.
Some might call him a pest.
He's a pest. But I tell you what, you need a pest now and again up front in your team. You really do. Chris Wood and Igor Jesus, they haven't been a pest.
Yeah.
There's nothing really happening between those two at the moment. And Forest needs something to happen like that. But Ollie Watkins made something out of nothing. Scruffy clearance. They pick it back up. Buendia skipped past a few challenges in the box, cuts it back, and Watkins has a tap in to give Villa the lead. And more important than just the lead tonight, they've now really got the initiative, and they've got to keep it there. They've got to keep it there. No taking your foot off the gas now. They've got to come out and start the second half and ask questions again and really rock Forest and set them back.
I mean, that's the problem, Jack. It does feel like the momentum is now with Villa.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the press has been very good all over the pitch. They've been so aggressive, particularly on Amari Hutchinson, who I thought was really good in the first leg, but he's had nothing. And I think that comes again from the fact Morgan Gibbs-White isn't playing. A player as good as him, he draws the attention of the opposition, so they're probably going to double up on him. All the analysis would have been around how do we stop Morgan Gibbs-White, and when he plays, he then opens up gaps in space for other players like Amari Hutchinson's and so on. So I just think they've struggled for us really to deal with the intensity of Villa. They've looked sharp, like I said, the ball's dropping in and around the middle of the pitch. They've always been first to them, and it's certainly momentum is on their side.
I suppose this is when we can say the changes that Emery made, albeit in that defeat to Tottenham at this present moment, has worked.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a call, Natalie. And I felt Unai Emery, when he answered the question, he said, look, I've lost the last 2 games. I'm fully entitled to make a few changes. I think look, everybody, there isn't a coach out there that wouldn't have rotated the squad to some extent before a tie when you're one down in a European semi. So again, look, that was a decision he made. It didn't work, to be fair, because Spurs played well and deserved their win. But tonight, crucially for Villa, after that initial little spell, I think they've been much the better team. It's a much improved performance, and confidence levels now will be high, but they must keep it there. Don't let the tempo and don't let the energy levels drop. Keep them where they are, keep pouring forward, and I think more chances will come.
And Jack, when you think about where Forest are in the Premier League, they're 6 points clear of the relegation zone. For many are suggesting, they're pretty much safe. Does this mean this second half they've just got to go for it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the biggest game of the season, the biggest game in a long time, probably since the playoff final. And they're in a position where they are struggling at the moment, but I think you can quickly forget that the tie is still level. I think because of the way the game's gone, the momentum and obviously the atmosphere, and Villa look the better side so far, but the tie is still level. So Forest just need to use them calm heads. Obviously, I know Gibbs-White's not playing, but he'll be a big voice in the dressing room. Ryan Yates as well, so just stick together. They knew it was going to be difficult. Come out, have a plan, and stick to it.
Those the thoughts of former Forest midfielder Jack Colback, and of course the former Villa captain Andy Townsend. Don't forget, we've got more live football tomorrow night for you as the playoffs get underway in the Championship. Hull, who just scraped into the top 6 on the final day, host Millwall, who missed out on automatic promotion on the same day. That one is live for you on TalkSport with Kickoff at 7:45. We bring you exclusive coverage. I should say it's at 8 o'clock, that game. We bring you exclusive coverage of every playoff game, including all 3 finals, right here on the TalkSport network. Right, the second half is to come next here at Villa Park. It's 1-1 on aggregate. You're listening to the Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise. Rent a car here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org.
This is not just the sound of a delicious M&S Picky Bits party.
Paprika prawn, anyone?
This is the sound of a delicious M&S Picky Bits party that earned you enough into your Sparks wallet to get your favourite apothecary bath salts free. And relax. Earn money into your Sparks wallet to buy the things you love at M&S. New Sparks is here. Download the M&S app now. T's and C's apply.
Psst. You. Yeah, you. Listening to the radio. Up to whatever. We just wanted to let you know there's a lotto draw coming up, and
it could be you.
Yeah, what he said. Lotto from the National Lottery. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
On day 3 of leftovers for lunch, have a day off. Switch it up with a double cheeseburger for $2.49 on the McDonald's Saver menu.
Leftovers left the chat.
Talk about saver satisfaction. Served from 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary. Fees apply to delivery orders, subject to availability.
Have you spotted anything?
Only seagulls. Are you sure this beach is a nature reserve?
Well, the sign said nature this way. Hey, what's that big bird over there? Flapping its wings, unusual markings.
You sure that sign didn't say naturists?
Oi, this is a nudist beach.
Ooh. Now, where are my binoculars?
Cheryl?
Struggling to read in the sun? Get 2 for 1 at Specsavers and make prescription sunglasses your second pair. From £70 with standard single vision lenses to the same prescription. Terms and conditions apply. See in store for details.
Smart TV. Didn't work. QR code login. Didn't work. Re-enter login. Didn't work. Voice activated remote. Didn't work.
We can fix that. The casino app is actually pretty good.
Wager £20. Get 100 free spins with Midnight on eligible games. Search Midnight Casino or download the Midnight app today. New customers only. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Play responsibly. GambleAware.org.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on Talk Sport. Mid-morning radio that's up for the job.
He spent £500 million to get precisely nowhere.
Concrete sports talk.
It really is incredible.
Rapid setting opinion.
You're not justifying it, but you're explaining it. It doesn't need an explanation.
Big names all bagged up.
Anthony Joshua, good afternoon.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Delivered weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport by Selco Builders Warehouse. Check stock at your local branch. We've got it at selcobw.com.
Europa League live on Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Initiate adrenaline pumps. Kickoff live on Talk Sport.
You're listening to Kickoff on Talk Sports, and it is currently Aston Villa 1, Nottingham Forest 0 in the second leg of this Europa League semi-final. That means it's 1-1 on aggregate. Second half commentary to come, but let's bring in the halftime odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And the odds now suggest that Villa are 5-1 on to win this one. You can get Forest at a best price 16-1 if you think this will end in a draw. 19-4 is what Ladbrokes are offering. That was the latest odds. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
OK, the teams are now making their way out for this second half. Just to remind you, the former Villa striker Gabriel Bonlahor is watching this game on TalkSport's YouTube channel alongside Forest fan and TalkSport's Max Scott. Gabby certainly enjoyed that Ollie Watkins goal, I am sure of that. Might say fireworks were involved, perhaps. He wouldn't say that, would he? You can tune in to our watch along on the TalkSport YouTube channel now. And Crystal Palace are looking good to book their place in their first European final. It's 1-1 in their tie this second leg, but 4-2 they lead on aggregate. As I say, the players are out and there are changes to bring you as well. So let's hand you back to your team. This game is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. It is former Forest midfielder Jack Colback, former Villa captain Andy Townsend, who are both alongside Jim Proudfoot.
Nat, thank you. Well, Nottingham Forest are going to be bringing Ryan Yates on for the second half. And James McAtee is the player that hasn't reappeared. Yates has only made a couple of Premier League starts this season, but was excellent in the second of those on Monday afternoon, should I say, at Chelsea. And he'll be coming on in a moment, at least when the officials have got their act in order. He thought he'd been given permission to come back on, and the referee has said, no, you can't come on yet. So the numbers board comes up now. 22 on for 24. Be interesting to see exactly how Forest reshuffle things, whether Dominguez goes slightly wider as a result of that.
Yeah, he may well do. That might happen. But I think they've got 2 or 3 options, Jim. They could even play 3 at the back and play Hutchinson wide right, Nico Williams as a wing back down the left, to try and have an extra presence in the middle of the park with Yates alongside Elliot Anderson and Dominguez. So we'll see. We'll get a clearer picture as soon as we get going.
Well, they had to do something. The tail of the tape very much in Villa's favour in the first half. I think few would argue that the 1-0 lead that they have at half-time is deserved, or isn't deserved, should I say. We are back underway. Villa, claret and blue, kicking from right to left. They're defending the Holt end. Nottingham Forest in their change kit of off-white shirts, black shorts. And they've conceded the first free kick of this second half. Well, it looks as though, Jack, they are potentially switching to a 3. Can't definitively say one way or the other for now, but it does look pretty much as though it is going to be a 3. That's certainly going to be easy for Jaya Cunha.
Yeah, I think so. Looks like Elliot Anderson's drifted more to the left slightly, maybe to take up that Gibbs-White role. I think McAtee, it's a harsh one for him, because I thought he did look bright at times, but I think it's probably more of a out of possession one, because he didn't look fit, to be honest. He's not played a lot of football, and it was starting to show, and gaps were appearing around him.
Milenkovic having to try and deal with Watkins. The ball scooped inside the penalty area. Watkins chases after it, but overran it. And the Forest fans have had a really good view of that at the far corner of the ground from us, cheering as he went out of play for a goal kick that Ortega will take. Could well still be a 4 in possession for Nottingham Forest, with Hutchinson high and wide on the right hand side. I think it is. So Forest lining up: Ortega in goal, Cunha, Milenkovic, Murado and Williams. Then Hutchinson, Yates and Dominguez and Anderson and Igor Jesus off Wood. For Villa, it's Martinez in goal, Cash, Konsa, Pau Torres and Digne, Lindelof and Tielemans, McGinn, Rogers, Buendia and Watkins. This game brought to you with TNT Sports, the home of European football. 1-0 to Villa on the night, 1-1 on aggregate. Now we're still no closer to knowing who's going to be going to Istanbul for the final in 13 days' time. Milenkovic should take a throw on the Nottingham Forest right. Threatens to throw it towards Hutchinson. May instead put a little bit more on it and go down the line. Wood giving Lindelof a little push as the ball comes down Konsa's way. And stepping up, Matty Cash tries to squeeze it through the midfield. One back by Dominguez, comes down towards Milenkovic. Dominguez gets it again and goes back for Ortega, who's played in the majority of the European ties since he signed, with Sells still the Premier League goalkeeper. Konsa heads his clearance away. Comes out to the Villa right-hand side, where Cash will try and turn. It's found McGinn. McGinn battling with Williams. Anderson was in there. Villa emerging with possession. Lindelof's done well, but he can't stab it into the path of Watkins, and Forest will clear.
Tell you, the service, in fairness to Igor Jesus and Chris Wood, is poor. All Forest are doing is scalping it 50, 60 yards, and it's up around Chris Wood's head, and he can't do a lot with it. I can't hang on to it, and the ball just keeps coming back time and time again.
Cash getting it forward this time for McGinn. John McGinn, left-footed ball in, travelled a long way, but no one got a touch on it inside the 6-yard box. And it drifts out of play for a goal kick, Jack.
Yeah, that was one of them. It was almost mishit by John McGinn, but it ended up being a really dangerous ball, and there was no takers for Villa.
Now Morato's just down for a moment. It's not a problem for him necessarily. He's just feeling his shoulder. He's just bending over for a moment, but no need for any treatment. Let's go back to Selhurst Park. Another goal there for Ian Abrahams.
He scored after 21 seconds of the first leg. He's got 7 minutes into the second half here. Ismail Assar makes it Palace 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 1. Palace went from defending at one end to Ismail Assar ensuring they will be in their first ever European final, poking in from close range. Palace 2, Shakhtar 1, 5-2 on aggregate, and Palace are going to Leipzig. It's live on TalkSport 2.
19th goal of the season for Ismail Assar. It will be Palace's first ever European final. And Villa hoping to get to their second, and Nottingham Forest their third. Villa have got it with Ezri Konsa. He's in his own half of the centre circles. He plays it out to Victor Lindelof. Back for Konsa again. Konsa tapped down the left-hand side for Pau Torres. Digne making a run and puts the brakes on and checks back. Well, Pau Torres just works it back calmly for Konsa. Battles Torres again on the left-hand touchline as he receives the pass, and he turns and is being pressured immediately by Yates, and the pressure was telling, and Yates, a Nottingham boy through and through. This means so much to him, but he overstepped the mark there. He was in over physically and over exuberantly on Pau Torres. A couple of bruises there. It's a free kick, nothing more, but that was a challenge that incurred the wrath of those on the Aston Villa bench. And Buendia and Tielemans were far from happy and told the referee exactly that. Yates just being told to calm down. Well, that's what he's there for, to come on and rattle a few cages.
Well, yeah, Jack, you know him very well, Ryan Yates. That's what he'll bring to the party, won't he?
Yeah, exactly that, and I think that's what Forest have been missing a bit, you know, just ruffle up the feathers a bit of the Villa players and get a bit of urgency, really.
Watkins, tonight's goal scorer, flicks the ball back for Buendia. Back heel flick from him. Very well timed to playing Youri Tielemans. Tielemans goes back for halfway for Pau Torres. Konsa. Adam McGinn. McGinn controlling the ball 10-12 yards inside the Nottingham Forest half as he switches it back again. We played 6 minutes in the second half here on TalkSport. 1-0 to Villa, 1-1 on aggregate. Milenkovic slides the ball away that was intended for Buendia. And now Hutchinson checks back in off the right-hand touchline. Good quick feet, and he's done well to get it away from Buendia, who's a little agitated with himself that he couldn't win that back. And grimaced very visibly even from here. Jai Cunha plays it for Hutchinson again. Dino wouldn't let him past. Collision between the pair of them. And Hutchinson is down, holding his right ankle. And a yellow card is shown to one of the Nottingham Forest coaches, who was far from happy, thought that was a late needless challenge on Amari Hutchinson. And that's the second coach booked tonight.
I actually thought it was a foul from Luca Digne on Hutchinson. In fact, it's definitely a foul from Luca Digne on Hutchinson. He gets there late, and it was the reaction from the Forest bench. Vitor Pereira, some of his staff jumped up and all flapping their arms and going crazy. And one of them gets a yellow card, but the referee actually could have nipped that in the bud by just giving the right call. It was a free kick to Forest, and he should have, I think, just made that known a little bit sooner than he did.
Yeah, it was Luis Miguel, the assistant manager, that got the yellow card. Hutchinson's back on his feet.
And he's given a free kick now, look, to Forest. If he'd have signalled for that a lot sooner than he did, no one gets upset.
Free kick's been worked back all the way to Ortega, who Milenkovic pointed to Jai Cunha and told him to play the pass in that direction. Cunha's clearance, Konsa's won it back, he tries to get forward through the midfield. Dominguez then winning it back for Forest, but only after Konsa was fouled. It was Elliot Anderson who offers a hand of apology as the pair of them help each other back to their feet, two England teammates. And the free kick will be taken by Villa inside the centre circle, still 1-0.
He's overrun that actually, Ezri Konsa there. He's a centre-half running across the halfway line into traffic. Wasn't really sure where he's going. I think he's a little fortunate to get the free kick actually there. But Villa have it. Youri Tielemans is going to clip this into the box. Everybody in and around that penalty spot.
It's a very straight one for Tielemans. Difficult to work an angle one way or the other. It might just plant it forward. Instead he side foots it down towards Cash, who raced out there to offer himself and offer the angle. Goes out towards him again and comes off Williams for the first corner of the second half. It's Villa's sixth without reply tonight. They lead 1-0. They're good value for it. And John McGinn will take this corner. In front of the North Stand. Watkins, Pau Torres and Lindelof. 3 6-footers. Now joined by a fourth, Ezri Konsa. Quartet in claret and blue waiting at the far post area. Corners work short. Comes out for Cash to Tielemans. Tielemans, right-footed ball over the top, volleyed in towards the 6-yard box. Now was Lindelof pulled to the ground? He thinks so. Pau Torres, I beg your pardon, comes back out for McGinn. His shot is blocked. McGinn again. Now Williams wins it back from Rodgers and should be able to clear. The VAR would have had a look at it, I'm sure, but there was a big complaint from Pau Torres that he was pulled to the ground, and I think the referee is saying don't restart play yet because I'm being told what to do, and in that potentially will give the VAR something to think about.
I tell you what, Milenkovic grabs Victor Lindelof's shirt and he doesn't let it go quick enough. If you hang on to it and people start falling to the ground and the shirt stretches, etc., then you are in trouble. So there's a big pause here as we find out that Milenkovic's face is one etched in agony, as if to say, please don't give that, you know there's nothing in it, but he just grabbed that. Here he goes, he's going to have a look.
Yeah, he's been called over by the VAR, Jerome Brissard, and he makes his way over to the referee review area, which looks like an 8-inch Dixon TV from 1983 that a fan has holding over on the far side. But he's having a look now at the pictures.
Had the ball got away from him a little bit, you could argue, yes. Does Milenkovic grab and hang on? Yes, he does. There you go.
The roar tells you everything you need to know. Penalty to Aston Villa for the foul by Milenkovic on Pau Torres. And they have the chance to take the aggregate lead for the first time in this tie. Emi Buendia strides forward. Villa have had 4 penalties this season. They've missed 3 of them. The only penalty they have scored was netted by Donjon Marlon. Watkins, Buendia and Rodgers have all missed one. Emi Buendia's miss came in the Netherlands against Go Ahead Eagles. Will he be able to put this one away? He stands motionless, hands on hips, with the ball at his feet. Ortega in his goal for a moment, makes his way forward to the line, bouncing up and down on the line. First leg was decided by a penalty. Could this second one be as well? It's Buendia! Fired into the bottom left-hand corner. Aston Villa 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Villa now, for the first time, in the box seat for Besiktas. The Europa League final, just over half an hour away for them. And it's Forest who have to come back and manoeuvre a way back into this tie. 2-0 Villa, 2-1 on aggregate.
Great penalty. Nice and composed. Nothing silly, none of those stuttering run-ups as he comes up to the ball there from Emi Buendia. Just a clear picture of what he wanted to do, and he dispatched it brilliantly. Ortega guessed right, but he can't get it. And Villa are full value right now for a 2-goal lead.
Well, they've had such a good record this season when they have scored first in games. They now lead 2-0. And it's Forest who are playing catch-up. A desperate bid to get themselves back into this. Forest, a team who've been better on the road than they have at home. 7 of the last 9 league wins they've had have been away. But they need to up this by 50-70%. The level of performance has been disappointing from them tonight. Work to do. They're 2-1 down on aggregate now. Villa against Freiburg is what the final is looking like right now. The other one, Rayo Vallecano against Palace in the Conference League. That's how things stand with half an hour's worth of action to go tonight. Dominguez in possession for Forest. Played out of the left for Elliott. Anderson has come off him. It's a Villa throw. Jack Colback, how do your old side get over that and get themselves back into this now that they're trailing?
Well, they need something. They need to change the momentum. They actually started the second half quite well. But what Milenkovic is doing there, I just do not know. It's so silly. It's lazy defending. There's no need to grab the shirt. And I think initially it looked like he went down quite easily. But like Andy said, the amount of time he holds on to the shirt and then he almost pulls him towards him to prevent him getting the ball. And it's just a crazy decision. But Forest have to react. And, you know, it's a tough place, but this is their moment. You've got to react.
I mean, it is ridiculously easy to say it from here, but as you say, the decision-making process as Watkins is played in, he scores, but the flag comes out, and I'm sure that one is correct. Well, Ollie Watkins is sure as well. There's no hint of a celebration from him.
Did exactly the right thing, though, Ollie Watkins there. I think he is offside. He's well offside. Eventually, Morgan Rodgers just turns it round the corner, and he's couple of yards offside, but I tell you what, smash it in the back of the net and then let them all have a look at it. He does exactly the right thing in that respect, but he's a good couple of yards offside. Yeah, things have got to change for Forest, otherwise Villa will get another here and they're going to have an absolute massive night to remember. They really are. Forest have got to get more out of their forward players. They've just not had a kick. Service up to them has been non-existent, so they've got to start making something happen high up the field if they want to potentially think about getting to a Europa League final, because at the moment it's Villa that are going to get there and they're going to stroll it if Forest aren't careful.
Yeah, Vitor Pereira will be deeply frustrated at the manner of the penalty that was given away, as Jack was saying, when it's the opposition centre-half with his back to the direction of play, 8 yards out, the ball not really at his feet. It all seemed very needless. But as I say, it's a really easy game to play here. Watkins bringing the ball forward now for Villa, who are rampant, and if they score the next goal, you think it will all be over. And Milenkovic looked as though he might have given Watkins a shove, but the throw to Villa has been given down by the corner flag, and the already intense, audible support from the Aston Villa supporters has just been ratcheted up another couple of notches. So loud you can hardly hear yourself speak or think here in the second city tonight. And here's a chance from McGinn. So throw was taken, it was laid off, and 15 yards out, he's put his left foot through it, and Ortega saves it.
Yeah, good play that again from Villa. Clever ball, knocked back from Buendia to John McGinn just above the penalty spot, goes for a big side foot on his left foot, unfortunately straight at Stefan Ortega from his point of view. But in moving Elliot Anderson slightly to the left hand side, now he's over on the right hand side, Jack, they've lost his influence in the middle of the park as well.
Yeah, they have. I'm still trying to work out what they've actually changed, so I'm not sure really. They seem to have a different shape in possession, out of possession, but they're really struggling to get a foothold in the game. But I think the problem is you look at the bench, other than Gibbs White, there's not a lot there.
Hutchinson able to bring the ball forward here for Nottingham Forest. The substitutes for Forest tonight: Murillo, Sangare, Gibbs White, Dan and Doy, who has been struggling for fitness recently. The giant Italian striker Luca, who we've hardly seen play in the last few weeks. Dylan Bakwa, who hasn't been a Forest favourite, but actually played really well on Monday. And then three youngsters, Whitehall, Sinclair and Hanks, none of whom are forwards. Here comes Igor Jesus, bringing it forward, and towards the right-hand side of the box. Wood is waiting. Hutchinson tries to find him, crosses deeper in towards Igor Jesus. He sent a cushion header down, but wide. And Forest, with the first sight of goal of this second half, haven't come close to scoring.
That's the first time I've seen Elliot Anderson roll a ball in behind Villa's midfield, right down the middle of the field, where Igor Jesus has picked the ball up and been able to travel facing the Villa goal. Because up to now, Wood and Igor Jesus, they've had their back to goal, everything's coming at them from 40, 50 yards away. Very difficult to do anything with it. That was better from them in the end. The ball from Hutchinson clipped up to the far post, just allowed Cash to get back and just give Igor Jesus a problem in terms of directing a header on goal. But that's a little better from them, Forest.
You're listening to Aston Villa against Nottingham Forest in the Europa League. It's live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. The latest free kick is given for a foul by McGinn on Williams, and Dominguez is down hurt in the heart of the Nottingham Forest midfield. I don't know whether that means that they might have to call on Sangare. He's back on his feet. The free kick is taken and goes short for Elliot Anderson. 25 minutes to go. Villa 2, Forest 0. And of course this is a result that has potential implications for a lot of other sides in the Premier League as well. As Ortega's very nearly caught by the Watkins press, because if Villa were to finish 5th but win this competition, the side that finishes 6th in the Premier League would be in the Champions League. So for the likes of Brighton and Bournemouth and Brentford, this is a potentially big result. I mean, they've still got to win the final And they've still got 25 minutes of this one to see through. Goal back for Forest, and we go to extra time, of course. Forest getting it forward towards Wood, who's on halfway. And it's one of those nights that he's really glad he's not getting paid by the touch, Chris Wood. Played forward again. Villa bringing it forward with Rodgers, and Ortega able to grasp a low shot into his body to make the save.
Lucky, great run that, Morgan Rodgers. First time we've really seen him travel with the ball in that number 10 central position. Nice left foot strike. Ortega comfortably saves again, but
Buendia back towards Yuri Tielemans, and Lindelof calming things down. He's done really well in there.
He has done well. He's done all right in there. He's a reliable, dependable lad, Victor Lindelof, and up to now he's been very solid.
Jack, what have you made of Victor Lindelof in the Jack Colback role tonight?
Yeah, he's been very solid. He's cut the ball well. You know, he's done the basics well, and I think in the middle of the pitch is where Villa have really been the better side. In their moments where it's tight and compact and you need a bit of something, Buendia was quick feet and get out of it and gain control again. I think Villa have been far better in that aspect.
Well, two Forest players are down here. It's Morato and Williams. Morato just being helped back up, but he's got his right hand to the bridge of his nose, which clearly suggested he got a hefty bang in the face. Things in danger of unravelling here for Nottingham Forest quite quickly. They've been in really good form. I saw their win at Sunderland a couple of weeks ago where they were 4 up at half-time, and they were very impressive there, and the reserves were great to a man at Chelsea on Monday, but they haven't turned up tonight.
Do you know, Jim, and Jack was talking earlier about the lack of options they got on the bench. Vitor Pereira and his staff have been debating about what they're going to do, how they can make a change, not just to protect a lead or stay in a game, but to get back in one now. And he's looked perplexed and puzzled as to what to do. I mean, and I think it speaks volumes for just the lack of power that they have on the bench at the moment.
Martinez with a rare touch has been able to get it away. Brought down by the advancing Lindelof. Anderson is scrapping, trying to win it back from McGinn. It's made its way, meandered through the midfield where Buendia picked it up, and then he was fouled. Anderson saying he played the ball, but the referee disagrees. Let's go back to Selhurst. Ian Abrahams.
19 minutes left. Palace 2, Shakhtar 1 on the night. 5-2 on aggregate to Palace, and they are on easy street here. The fans going through their repertoire of songs. Oliver Glasner's last game for Palace will be a European final. Palace 2, Shakhtar 1, live on TalkSport 2.
Well, the two incoming Forest changes are Lorenzo Luca and Dylan Bakwa. So a double change about to be made by Forest, who've already brought Ryan Yates off the bench at half-time. Just past the midway stage of the second half here on TalkSport. 2-0 to Villa, 2-1 they lead on aggregate. With Pau Torres, who won the penalty in possession. Back from him to Tielemans. Tielemans to Konsa to Victor Lindelof, who links things up really neatly from that defensive midfield position. Whenever they've got it, he just drifts to the right and makes a third centre-half to give Konsa another passing option.
Yeah, I think for Villa now, the best way to protect this lead, go and get a third. Go and get another. I think it's well within their capabilities of doing that. Now, they do like to control situations and manage games, as we see Emi Martinez with the ball at his feet, and inviting the Forest players to come and close it down before he sends it forward. But it only takes one moment, one little momentary lapse in concentration, a bit of brilliance from someone, and Forest could be back in the tie. I think for Villa, they've got the initiative, they've got the 2-goal lead that they desperately wanted. Go and sort it out, get that third.
Well, whoever wins this will surely be playing Freiburg. They're 3-0 up. Forest have played the ball forward. Woody's onside for now. It's Chris Wood, and it's an excellent save from Martinez, who came out and kicked it away, and now the flag comes up. Referee played the advantage, then Buendia slipped on the ball, so Forest have got it back. And they make their way with Nico Williams out of the left-hand side of the area. It's a brilliant pirouette from him. Just drawing cash into the challenge. Now lays it back for Yates. Yates bypasses Morata to find Anderson. Anderson's ball to his right for Dominguez. Worked in field for Elliot Anderson again through the 6-yard box. Too far ahead of Wood and Jesus. And it goes out of play for a goal kick. That was better from Nottingham Forest. A couple of promising moves, neither came to anything. Here come the changes then. Morato the first off, and Bakwa is going to come on to replace him. The French winger that they paid £30 million for. He's only made 5 Premier League starts for Forest so far under 3 different managers. And Lorenzo Luca will come on to replace Chris Wood. A straight swap up front. Luca making his first appearance for 7 weeks. The 6'8" forward who's on loan from Napoli. Scored on his debut at Leeds. Hasn't found the net since. This would be a pretty good time from a Nottingham Forest perspective. What do you think about those 2 changes, Jack?
Yeah, let's see how it can affect the game. Obviously, Chris Wood coming off, he struggled all night really. The balls up to him have been very difficult. But the changes, you know, they had to do something. That was a great ball from Elliot Anderson right in the corridor between goalkeeper and centre-half, but again, no takers.
Watkins. And it comes for Buendia. Good strength from Buendia, but Milenkovic forced him to rush the shot that he's put wide of the near post.
Lucky, yeah. Gets into good positions, Emi Buendia. In fact, he has all night. In the first half, he was the one that was he just seems to find a pocket of space at the right time, like he did when he provided the cross for the first goal of the night for Ollie Watkins. Really good play from him. And just there, he was in a really good position.
Ryan Yates getting it forward. Luca taking on Pau Torres. He goes towards the dead ball line as he won a corner. It's gone down by the corner flag and has just gone the right side of the corner flag as far as Forest are concerned. This their first corner of the night. And it comes as the game ticks into minute 73. So Luca, a prodigiously tall aerial target. Milenkovic has come forward as well. Back was going to take the corner from the Forest right. Can they get themselves back on level terms on aggregate? Swept in really deep. Luca the target. Great claim from Martinez. When you need your goalkeeper to come out and take the pressure off you, just came and showed a clean pair of hands and plucked it out of the sky.
Yeah. Great hands from Emi Martinez, and he was really positive there. It was a looping cross. It wasn't one of the best corners Forest have ever hit, but the goalie was on the front foot and stepping out to claim that and hang on to it perfectly.
Just given away again by Villa, who are probably having their worst 5 minutes of the night at the moment. Yates has gone down. He was caught. There was no advantage as the ball didn't fall backwards way. The free kick will be taken in the centre circle. Villa are going to make a change. And it's a straight swap in midfield, but a big ovation here for Victor Lindelof. Job well done by him tonight.
Played very well. Very well. His job in there tonight wasn't to be extravagant and do anything outrageous, but just make sure you're always there in front of Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa. You're denying that ball in towards Igor Jesus. He's done that very well. Played really well in there tonight. His legs look a little bit weary as he's coming off, but excellent performance from him.
Lamare Bagana comes on to replace him, the Dutch midfielder. They're very much a squad player, but he still made more than 40 appearances for Villa this season. Free kick tapped short by Anderson. Hutchinson fires it in. The referee blows his whistle. I don't know that he blew his whistle before the free kick was taken, but he wasn't happy with the pushing and shoving going on involving Cash on the edge of the box. And so he's asked for a reset. And Anderson stands with the ball at his feet again. Are they going to go the same way? Just a little tap to change the angle for a ball driven in. Not sure that the one-man Villa wall is 10 yards away. And Rodgers just been asked to retreat a step or two. Anderson backheels it. Hutchinson does take it. Flicked in now towards the edge of the penalty area, headed away. Doesn't break for Dominguez. Ollie Watkins breaking, falls over, and then from his position on the ground, stabs it forward into the path of Morgan Rodgers. Rodgers running it backward. McGinn, if he can get it across, was free, but he couldn't. Forest blocked it. They had 2 running from deep there. Bakana and McGinn, and if they'd found either of them, it surely would have been 3-0. Forward again from Rodgers. Down towards Watkins. Buendia on the left-hand touchline. He's level the edge of the box and goes all the way back. Down towards Pau Torres again. And that's what Forest have to be mindful of the fact that as they have to commit more and more bodies forward as the night goes on, Villa are pretty good on the counter-attack.
Oh yeah, look, there will be space, there'll be room. Very nearly there, Morgan Rogers. He'd have just been able to look up to his right-hand side. Two Villa players totally unmarked there, but he just couldn't quite find them.
Milenkovic pulling the shirt of Watkins again there as the ball came inside the box, but it's not been pulled up this time. It's gone out of play right in front of the Forest supporters. The throw for Villa.
Now you start getting to the 75th minute is when the first time Villa, because don't forget the mindset all night long has been about one, get in front, then look for that second goal. They've got that. Now if that third one doesn't come, it's the first sort of spell in the game where they just might start to get just a little edgy as they near the line, near the finishing line, and Forest have got to try and make something of that.
Throw comes in, there's a bit of pushing and shoving going on between Bakwa and Buendia. Hutchinson clears it, bounces awkwardly on halfway for Konsa. He's done really well to just change his stride and then power a header back towards Emi Martinez. And Luca will make sure that Martinez doesn't take any liberties and picks the ball up relatively quickly. And now we'll bowl it down to the left-hand side for Pau Torres. Fired forward by him. It's a good ball. Rogers cushion header played by Watkins. It's John McGinn. And it is surely Aston Villa go to Istanbul. That third goal almost certainly will see off the challenge of Nottingham Forest. Villa in their first big European semi-final for more than 40 years. They have delivered, and it's the captain that supplies what may well be the decisive blow. Villa breaking forward, and it was just feathered into the path of McGinn. Didn't break his stride, but he broke Forest hearts. 3-0 to Villa.
It's a brilliant goal. Because it starts, with the goalkeeper rolling it out, and then it's a ball from the left-hand side up to Morgan Rogers, who drops it back, and then it's rolled wide to John McGinn, which is asking him to step in on the left foot off the right side from the edge of the box, hit the target. Not only does he hit the target, he curls it inside that post. Ortega doesn't even dive, can't get it. And that is the moment that will send Villa to Istanbul for a European Cup final. Can't wait.
And the captain's name being sung by 90% of the supporters here. And those clad in claret and blue away to our right hand side, looking at each other, some with tears in their eyes. A young man who must be, I say a young man, he's probably in his late 30s, and he's just taken his glasses off and rubbed his eyes. This is one of those nights so important for Aston Villa, for any Villa fan who's under the age of, nearly 50. They won't really properly remember that great European Cup run of 1982. This is fresh ground for them, and they will surely now be in a European final. I wonder what's going through Milenkovic's mind now. And the turning points of the game and giving that soft penalty away 20 minutes ago. Buendia converted that, and McGinn, who scored twice against Forest here earlier this season, has then added the goal that's put them 3-1 up on aggregate. They're hungry for more. It's McGinn again! Any lingering doubt has been erased. John McGinn, 2 in 3 minutes. Villa fans, a night of Turkish delight awaits. You're off to Istanbul. Villa 4, Forest 0. And that is that.
Oh, what a great finish. I'm so pleased for John McGinn, because he's such a warrior, he's such a team player. He's a great leader of this bunch of boys, he really is. And wow, the third goal's a big goal. This one is just icing on the cake, and it's the same finish, Jack, but to the near post. Another beautifully controlled strike.
It is. It's a lovely finish again. So calm and composed, and he's just reversed it this time to the keeper's left. But he's been completely on his own for both goals. I'm not sure what is happening with the Forest players. The changes that they've just made has completely thrown them, and I think that's job done for Villa.
Well, there can't be a way back now, surely. 10 minutes to go. And Villa 4-0 up on the night, 4-1 up on aggregate. And I know it's not that long in the grand scheme of things since Sunderland came here and were in no position going into the final 10 minutes and gave Villa an almighty scare in that game that Tammy Abraham ultimately got the late winner in. You can't see it happening here tonight. And Forest haven't been able to lay a glove on Aston Villa all evening, and there are mitigating circumstances in terms of the injuries and the absence of the talisman Morgan Gibbs-White, but they'll feel that they've gone down without a fight here, and that will hurt.
Yeah, it will hurt. It will. Look, for Forest, they've got other major concerns. They've done great to get themselves out of trouble, and they've just got to absolutely make sure they sort that out, their Premier League status, which I'm sure they will. But they've been overwhelmed here tonight. They really have, apart from the early first 5 minutes, 6-7 minutes, where I thought they looked okay and created a couple of situations. Apart from that, they've had nothing at all. They've not been able to replicate anything like we've seen from them lately with their Premier League form. And I'm afraid it's a tough night for the Forest fans and for the players and everybody connected with them. But Villa have just turned up the gas, turned up the heat, and they've had too much, far too much.
Well, they've turned up, and they haven't done that for the last few weeks. Boy, have they turned up tonight. 4-0 to Villa with 8 minutes to go. You're listening to Villa Forest in the Europa League. It's live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it, but now at enterprise.co.uk. Dylan Bakwa going down towards the corner flag, got caught there by Buendia. It's a free kick to Forest, and they're now in territory where everything they hit has to go in. 7.5 minutes to go, and they need 3 to take this to extra time. And if the miraculous comeback does happen for Nottingham Forest, plenty of those that started the game here in the away end will be on the Aston Expressway by the time it happens, because they have long since head for the hills. Free kick here though to Forest, level with the edge of the box. 4-0 to Villa. Martinez bobbing up and down. In comes the ball towards the far post. It's headed away by Rodgers, and out of play for what is only Forest's second corner of the night.
It's actually a decent ball in that, but Morgan Rodgers doing exactly the right thing, gets his head on it, sends it out for a corner on the far side.
Forest second corner. Yates is waiting by the penalty spot. Backward, just outside the box. And amidst the cacophony of noise, in comes the corner. It's really deep towards the far post. Milenkovic going up for it, was beaten. Had 3 Villa players around him. Pau Torres with the touch, and has put it out of play for a throw. Dominguez went down in that melee. And as he got back, he was punching the air in frustration. What a moment for Unai Emery, though, who has got an inordinate amount of credit with the Aston Villa supporters. But when the third goal went in, he just afforded himself a little moment. He went down on his knees in front of the hoardings, and he was punching the ground 4 or 5 times in absolute unrestrained delight. Just a joyous moment for Unai Emery, whose love affair with this competition is set to continue to the final again. It will be his 6th. The ball is put out of play for a throw. Don't forget the sports bar tonight. Gabby Agbonlahor's had worse days. He will be with Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara taking